15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
49ers and Brandon Aiyuk, day 1,000. Feels like a hostage situation. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Bogish is in for Andrew Perloff all week long. This is getting a little absurd now. I can't even imagine fans of the 49ers. Your head has to be spinning because last night we got more updates on the will they, won't they trade him, where it looks like the Steelers, Bogish, are back in. The Patriots are now out. Good luck keeping track of this.
I mean, at this point, we need a picture of Brandon Aiyuk holding up today's paper just to know that he's alive and safe, while the Niners send, ransom notes with snipped-out magazine letters to different teams asking for better trade offers. What's clear 24 hours later is I have, shockingly, no feel for this situation whatsoever. I was very confident in what was going on yesterday. And now I'm not really sure what's going on, although I still will stand by that they have not gone past the normal negotiation animosity. This is the stuff, this is business. They go back and forth. It can be a little hairy, and there could be some hurt feelings, but it's the things that go away once the resolution hits.
Okay, this has been going on for 4 months.
Since 2018, pre-COVID.
It's not normal, and it's not what you want. And I feel even more confident in what the opinion I shared yesterday, which is I feel like the 49ers are blowing this. And the reason why I feel more confident even today saying that is because of the news that we got yesterday, which is that the New England Patriots are out. And we'll play you a clip in a few minutes of Adam Schefter breaking it all down, and you'll understand a little bit more of what I'm talking about, which is the power of this struggle, Bogish. Well, Brandon Aiyuk is actually holding more cards and more leverage than the 49ers. They let their leverage slip away, at least for now. They let it slip away because according to the reports, there was a huge compensation, a big return that the New England Patriots were going to give the 49ers. And the fact that Aiyuk doesn't want to go to New England means it's not going to happen. So that means to me, you're going to take less. If you do trade him, you are getting less. You're getting a worse package. You're getting worse compensation because Aiyuk is the one with all the power. How did the 49ers allow this to happen where you have this guy who you were never going to pay? You're never going to pay him. At least that's what it looks like, or else you would have paid him already. And he is now holding you hostage because he gets to dictate where he wants to go. They blew it.
I still am not there yet.
Okay.
Because this is how things go sometimes. The tides shift and different players come in and, a different trade is presented. Some guy was available and isn't anymore, or vice versa, or a new team comes in because there's an injury and all of a sudden they need a wide receiver, or they realize that their offense wasn't as dangerous as they wanted it to be. So there's ebbs and flows to all of this here. I do agree that the Niners are intent on not paying him a penny more than they think he's worth. I do believe them when they say there is an avenue for him to stay here, and maybe even long term. I don't think that is impossible at the moment.
But don't you get the sense, and I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
Don't you get the sense, though, and we won't know this, and we may never, and we're going to play some Kyle Shanahan in a moment. Don't you get the sense maybe they're quibbling over a couple $1 million? And granted, not my money, but it's gone this far and this long, and we're this drawn out. If they really did want to keep him, and it's the difference between $28 million and $30 million, and we're talking about over the course of 4 years, to me, you can bridge that gap. You should be able to bridge that gap. And to be honest, it's not Brandon Aiyuk's, it's not his job to take less. We saw this with Tua Tagovailoa. What did Tua keep saying to the Miami Dolphins? Whether you think I'm worth it or not, the market's the market. here's all the things I've done, and here are all the things of other people who have done what I've done. Here's what they're getting paid. So whether you believe in me or not is not really the question in this negotiation. In this negotiation, here's what the market says. I'm worth this much. We could quibble about whether that's right or wrong, but Aiyuk's not in the wrong here to be asking for money like Amon-Ra St. Brown.
No, but also in this reporting, we have from the Patriots, the guys who know the Patriots beat, Mike Reese in particular, he's now written twice that the Patriots were slow in conversations with the Niners, trade conversations, like going back into the spring. Like that the Pats were dragging their feet or not committing to what the Niners wanted in an Aiyuk trade. And now they apparently are willing to make him a top 5 paid wide receiver, and maybe he doesn't want to go there. Like that, if that's true, and we were told that the framework of a deal was out there 27 hours ago, right? Like this should be over,
right?
So,
but that's why Ayuk's got the power, because he's now picking and choosing. He's like, actually, I want to go play for the Steelers.
Yeah, but at some point, the Niners can retake control of all of this and go, you got to this. Nothing's happening. So do you want to not? Do you not want to play a season, or do you want to play for $14.1 million and then we'll redo this again next winter?
If only it was that easy, because there's also going to be the what could have been if what the report is there was a huge compensation from the New England Patriots coming back to the 49ers. So, yeah, you might get Aiyuk back for the year, but then we're going to just do this whole exercise at the trade deadline and then at the end of the year or whatever. Let's hear from Kyle Shanahan, shall we? Kyle Shanahan, can we please hear cut number 9? Despite all of this, not ruling out that Aiyuk could actually return to, or I guess not leave the 49ers.
Is there a scenario where you do a long-term deal with him?
There's a scenario for everything, so I want to rule anything out.
Okay. There's a scenario. He also says...
Put it on a T-shirt. There's a scenario for everything.
Cut 11. If you're wondering where the Niners have stood on this whole thing for the last couple months, maybe, here's where it is.
I'm not getting any specifics with offers, contracts, trades, anything like that, but what I can tell you guys is nothing has changed. I know a lot was out yesterday and stuff, but from the situation that we're in with Brandon, nothing's changed.
Okay, so both sides clearly appear to be playing some hardball here, and again, I just don't think there was ever a world where the 49ers were signing Brandon Aiyuk to a big deal. And so the next best scenario is to actually trade him and get some compensation for it. And you may have let the biggest and best and most lucrative deal fall by the wayside because Aiyuk now can tell you, I don't want to play there. Do we have the Schefter? Yes. Okay, so let's hear Adam Schefter, because this is a window into what, at least from the Patriots side, what they were getting from the 49ers and Brandon Aiyuk.
New England had the parameters of a trade in place with San Francisco. That wasn't the issue, but they weren't getting a great vibe here as they tried to conduct communication with Brandon Aiyuk and his agent. And the longer it went on, the worse they felt about it. And eventually they said, what are we doing here?
Okay, the vibe. Like, this is how much Brandon Aiyuk has got the power, at least right now, is that they basically stonewalled the Patriots and they couldn't get communication from his agents. And that's why the Patriots said, come on, what are we doing here? And took their offer off the table.
So again, but that's power afforded to him by the 49ers, allowing him to talk, allowing him to find the right landing spot for him.
Yeah, mistake.
Yeah. Unless it's not, until it's not. Like, it's not a mistake until it's a mistake, and and without a finalized package and a return, we can't necessarily value the mistake. And it's also August 7th. Like there's so much time before week 1 for all of this to be smoothed out, and they sing Kumbaya and they spend one more year together in San Francisco, or he goes somewhere else. And so, he's kind of in charge right now because he can ignore phone calls from Elliott Wolf or whoever. But at some point, the Niners have to go, dude, we're going to trade you where we want to trade you, or just come back here and play, or we dare you to not play this year.
Yeah. Great options. Kyle Shanahan almost felt like he was talking about Brandon Aiyuk in the past tense yesterday at that press conference, and we'll see what happens. Now, I would love to know from 49er fans, because we know we're on in the Bay Area, who are you blaming for this getting to this point? Are you blaming Aiyuk or are you blaming the 49ers? Because I can't really get a sense. And this feels like a hostage negotiation. I feel like I'm being held hostage on this news.
You really do. Like I'm so unbothered by this. Like it just feels so like kind of normal to me. And you're like, free Aiyuk hashtag. Like how do we free Maggie?
This is why. Because Aiyuk to me with the 49ers, that means a lot. If I'm thinking about the 49ers, who, yes, have so much talent on the offense. By the way, Christian McCaffrey already hurt. That was the other news we got yesterday.
So is Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, well, he started a training camp hurt. And now you have Christian McCaffrey has got not a strain. He like tweaked a calf, I guess. They're saying it's not torn. Maybe they did say it's a strain, and they're yada-yadaing over this in a big way. We know what's close to the calf. It's the Achilles. Calf strains can tend to linger. There's so many things. Ask Joe Burrow about a calf strain. It's tough. And so it's like, yeah, you have all these weapons, but Aiyuk to me with the 49ers, the reason why I'm so interested in this is because I think he's a huge piece to what they do. And I know they've got McCaffrey. I know they've got Kittle. And I know they've got the Deebo. And I know they've got Kyle Shanahan calling plays and Purdy. But to me, Aiyuk is very essential to getting to where they need to go. So that's why I'm into this.
He is certainly essential. But I just, is he required for their success? And I still think that he's the most replaceable of their four skill position players that matter. After McCaffrey and Samuel and Kittle, he is replaceable. Doesn't mean he's not a great player.
Right.
But the other guys, to me, bring unique skill sets. Aiyuk's a good wide receiver, but you can get good wide receivers in other ways.
Okay, well, maybe...
And you might get one back from the Cleveland Browns when this is all said and done.
Maybe if that Amari Cooper rumor is true, but that one really died down as the day went on. Yeah, I think that it's you don't know what you got till it's gone. They put a lot of investment, not that Kyle Shanahan doesn't, he does, but you put a lot of investment into Brandon Aiyuk, and what happened? It paid off. He ended up becoming Brock Purdy's favorite target. This is a guy who's on a team who he's not even the top option on offense and still had 1,300 yards receiving in the regular season. That's not nothing. And I think to kind of say, well, we'll just bring in anyone off the street who's got good hands. First of all, you kind of, good luck. It takes rookies some time to learn Kyle Shanahan's offense. This is not exactly come in and turnkey and plug and play. And we talked about McCaffrey is already hurt. Deebo Samuel gets hurt. And it leads us to another part of this conversation, and we can have it now, or we can have it in a minute, which is, should they have actually prioritized moving Deebo this offseason and getting something done with Aiyuk, as opposed to, because we know they were definitely shopping Deebo at one point. Should that have been more of the focus? Let's move Deebo Samuel, who has basically this year kind of left on his deal before they can get out of it without it being totally punitive. Should that have been the priority over trying to work out something with Aiyuk?
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather you talk about Noah Lyles not being the fastest man in the world. I'm infatuated with Deebo Samuel. If I wasn't 44 years old and I could own NFL player jerseys, I'd have a Deebo jersey.
Oh, you could own one?
No, I'm too old for that.
You're never too old.
Incorrect. I'm too old to have a current athlete's jersey.
Well... I disagree. Okay, we can talk about that,
Yeah.
Get into that later. What's the age cutoff for when you can buy a jersey? I don't think that exists.
I mean, once you kind of become physically capable of being the player's dad, I think you have to stop wearing their jersey. I think that's a good line to draw and not necessarily cross.
Yeah.
All the jerseys in my closet are either, and you can't have a blank Niners jersey. Like I have blank Met jerseys. I've got a Gary Carter jersey. I have a blank soccer jersey. I can't put a current player's name on my back.
I fully agree with Bogusch, by the way.
Thank you, Pat.
Okay.
You can't be putting grown men's names on your back at this point in life.
So where's the cutoff then? All right, now we're not even talking about Deebo Samuel. Let's just get into this. So where's the cutoff?
Are
13, 14, 20, 25?
I would say after you graduate college. At that point, just get shirt, T-shirt merch of the team. Just get a 49ers T-shirt, get other stuff like that. You don't need a jersey.
I think you can go a little further than, at 22 years old, you could wear a current player. Like they're still in your same age bracket. So I got a little more wiggle room.
I gotta be honest, guys. I think this is a real hot take. I think you guys are going really to steal from Perloff against the grain of like society. Have you been to a game?
Yeah.
I see plenty of guys who are your age and older proudly wearing jerseys. And as a woman, I never thought twice about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of losers out there.
Yeah.
Why is that a loser? You wear a Barry Sanders jersey to a Lions game. You're a loser?
No. You can wear a throwback.
Oh, a throwback.
Throwbacks, yes.
Oh, it's current. I'm sorry.
It's current. Like I've got a Gary Carter Mets jersey. I'll wear that to almost every Met game I go to.
Okay.
But I'm not throwing.
You're not wearing
on,
Pete Alonso.
Right.
Like, imagine being 35 years old and then buying a Zach Wilson Jets jersey.
So,
those
hi,
are the
Peter
same
Schwartz.
type-
Peter Schwartz isn't here to defend himself, and it's not fair to you.
Those are the same types of people that then burn those jerseys and post it on social media. Like,
Got
those
it.
are the worst types of people.
Okay. And this is because the guy's younger than you? And ideally, like, more accomplished? Is this jealousy?
No, not necessarily. I
No,
mean,
it's not,
has
it just
something.
feels inappropriate for like me as a again old enough to be Zach Wilson's dad.
Yeah. I just looked up Deebo Samuel, 28.
Yeah, like
you can do the math. You could be his dad.
I think if I'm remembering correctly, I could have been. Yeah, like that. That just seems like I'm too old for that. But I could wear a Joe Montana jersey
And
if I
feel
was
good
a
about
nine.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're just wasting money on top of that. You're going to drop what? On jerseys, $200 now, basically?
Okay, but how about this? You buy a Deebo Samuel jersey because you love him. Say your kid became a 49ers fan too, and then can you pass down the jersey? Isn't that kind of nice?
I guess you could, but here's the other thing. This isn't the 80s or the 90s anymore. Guys switch teams for the most part. 90% of players are on a new team every couple of years.
Yeah, that Brandon Aiyuk jersey. Who knows where he's going to end up?
I got
That's
a
how we
lot of-
started this whole thing.
I got a lot of rules on this, Maggie. There's a lot of jersey fouls committed at games. The only exception I would make for this particular stance, there's so much like alternate merchandise these days, like cool T-shirts with player like nicknames and stuff like that. Like I could pull off a Deebo Samuel like T-shirt from like one of those like athlete logos type places.
Okay.
But I couldn't go straight Deebo Samuel jersey. It just feels wrong.
So you got all, like, do you have like your 10 commandments of jersey wearing or?
Oh yeah, I mean, and around here, the one that I will never accept,
Wait, save it.
Okay.
Because I want the full 10.
I don't know if it's 10, but I got like probably 3 or 4.
All right.
Yeah.
It's like the movie, the Mel Brooks movie. I've got 10 commandments. He drops one of the tablets.
right,
History of the World, Part 1.
Where do you stand on?
She said,
Wait, hold
it.
on. Because we got to take a break. I do want people to get in on Brandon Aiyuk and who do you blame for the situation getting to the point it is. And then I do want to hear the jersey stuff. We just got to take a quick break. We're a little off course. Who do you blame for this situation getting to where it's gotten to, which is not ideal? 855-212-4227. Let us know. All right, we've got Bogish's 4 jersey commandments.
3.5. We'll see.
3.5 jersey
We'll
commandments.
pick the number one when I get there.
All right, we'll do that next. Stay tuned.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Gray, Andrew Bogish is in for Andrew Perloff, and we've been talking about the Brandon Aiyuk 49ers situation and asking, who do you blame for it getting to this point? Where this is now just a back and forth, feels like a hostage situation. Is Aiyuk going to accept a trade somewhere or not? You're welcome to weigh in at 855-212-4227. But we did get a little sidetracked because we started talking about Deebo Samuel. It turns out, Bogish, you are a huge fan.
Super fan of
Deebo Samuel. But
Call me Deebo.
You won't buy his jersey because he's still an active player, and you think of a man of your age can't be wearing the jersey of someone younger than you.
So the what's open for interpretation is the threshold where you become too old to wear somebody's jersey, but the rule is there is a point where you become too old to wear a current player's jersey.
Okay.
I didn't
know about this rule.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's new to you, but it's been in my head for a long time.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't thought into the future. Like, is there a time where I become old enough then to go back to wearing current players' jerseys? Is that now like a grandpa?
Sure.
But right now it feels wrong to wear a current player's jersey. I'm just too old.
Okay.
I'm just
and
too old.
You're how old?
44.
You're 44. Okay. You're not old at all. I think you're
We did this yesterday off the air. I put my foot in my mouth talking to Maggie about, I call myself her older brother, and I complain about being older than her as if it was her fault, but it's really mine.
You're not that much older than me.
Here's me being 64 instead of 44.
But here's the thing. You said, well, it violates like one of my jersey rules. Okay, so let's get to them. You have 3.5
We've got a full 4
commandments on how to wear jerseys in this day and age.
So number 1 is you absolutely age out of wearing a current athlete's jersey. It's just wrong. You're an adult, they're a kid. It doesn't make sense. That's the first one.
Okay.
The second one's very specific to New York and to Yankee fans. You can't be a Yankee fan if you own a Yankee jersey that has a last name on the back. You
Heard
can't.
this.
It's just, it's not allowed. They don't have it. You can't have it. I know who number 2 in a Yankee jersey is. It doesn't need to say Jeter as well for clarification.
Right, okay.
You're wrong. Along those same lines, if you buy a jersey, you've got to buy the jersey with the correct font. There's too many like cheap jerseys where like the nameplate's not exactly right. Like if you're going to buy a jersey, buy the jersey. Like there's no like discount rack or like, don't order one from overseas. Don't cheap out.
Okay.
Just get the jersey. And they make like Fanatics and those guys now, they have ones that are not like the full game jersey. They've got like a medium range one.
Okay.
That makes sense. But you can't show up with
a janky jersey.
You can't do it.
Okay.
And then the last one is if you're at a sporting event, you can only wear the jerseys of the teams playing. Going to a game just doesn't require you to wear a baseball jersey. If you go see the Mets and Padres play, you don't show up in a Cardinals jersey.
Yeah.
I'm at a baseball game. Let me put my and you certainly don't go to a field or a game wearing a rival's jersey or whatever that's not playing in that game.
Well, now you're asking for it.
Like you can't go to Yankees Red Sox like in an Orioles jersey. Like it doesn't work like that.
I would say more. I wouldn't go to like Eagles Cowboys and be wearing a Giants jersey. Like you're just asking to basically get a beer thrown on you.
By 2 people. At least when you go to an Eagles game in a Commanders jersey, it's only Eagles fans coming for you. But if you bring a wild card 3rd jersey and then the entire arena is going to stab you.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's 4. And I feel very strongly about all of them.
And and the other men in the room are in agreement here. So I feel like this is kind of more of a guy thing, to be honest.
Bogus laid that out perfectly. The jury rests its case.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm good with 3 of the 4.
Okay.
The first one, I don't, I'm not really judging a person for wearing a current player's jersey, although I don't have one.
It's probably the least offensive to me.
Yeah.
But I personally feel very strongly about like I couldn't possibly wear like a Francisco Lindor Mets jersey now. It just feels wrong.
I guess I understand it because I haven't purchased a current jersey in quite some time.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
The rest of my choices are about being 11 years old. This one's actually about my age.
EJ, you have something to say about this.
Bogus hit most of the notes there. I think he did a great job. I agree with almost all of them. The one thing I think I would add to, and I saw this a lot in Europe when I went to see the Mets play against the Phillies, don't wear the jerseys of like players who flamed out terribly with the team. Like that's also ironic. Me too.
Like when you wear,
coming in, like Pat talked about wearing a Zach Wilson jersey. Now he talked about buying it, when he got drafted. If you show up to a Jet game this year in a Zach Wilson jersey, you should be pantsed. Like,
oh my
come
God,
on, bro. Like that is because to me that's almost offensive to me. Like Zach Wilson brought only terrible memories for the Jets. We're trying to move on from him. And you're gonna show up in a Zach Wilson jersey. I remember going to the Met game. I'm seeing I saw a Kaz Matsui jersey. No, you cannot bring me guys who were flameouts, who were bust, and say that you're a fan of that team. That I do not understand. I've never got that.
I think that's kids today. A little bit. I think there's like an ironic, like, hey, I'm going to wear the biggest loser or the guy who flamed out as like a fun conversation starter.
Yeah.
Like an ironic thing. I'm sorry, Pete, did you also have something you wanted to say about the jerseys?
No.
You had a question before the break.
I forgot it.
All right.
You say if you have the Zach Wilson jersey, that's something you bring out if the Jets, let's say, are 2-14, and you have tickets to Week 17.
It's like wearing a bag over your head.
Yes, the bag. Well, yeah, that would be a nice compliment. The bag over your head with the Zach Wilson jersey
sends a message. You're right, Pat. But at that point, you're like basically protesting. It's become political at that point. You want the team to see it.
Well, you're practicing in the art of masochism.
What about what about the people? I have 2 questions for the room about jerseys. We're going through buying a jersey of a player, the etiquette. One, the guy who buys a jersey with 69 on the back just for that joke.
That's,
okay.
No thanks.
Are we still laughing at that? We're not.
Nope.
Okay. And then the other one is the person who kind of like duct tapes or changes the letter. Like if you had a Zach Wilson, but you change it
Peter
to a Garrett
Schwartz.
Wilson, or
Update
The
anchor.
Peter Schwartz addendum.
you change the name thing on the back, just like to.
No, you have to.
You realize it's a chop job, but you're doing it anyway.
No, you have to do it to prove a point. Like the guys, the old Browns fans had the jersey of like all the quarterback names like crossed off.
The
like,
T-shirt, yeah.
Like that's a funny one. You can't do it just to be frugal.
Right, you can't take a Glenn Foley jersey and make it a Brett Favre jersey.
Right, to save money on a Favre jersey. You
Peter
can't do that.
Schwartz.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one that I totally dislike around basketball. If you're going to a basketball game, you can't be wearing the jersey over like a dress shirt and a tie.
Oh, well,
can't stand it.
That's very New York
just a terrible
City.
Look. Oh,
That's a Friday
terrible.
night New York City. Every bro from Wall Street has got the the collared shirt with the Walt Clyde Frazier jersey over it. Or John Starks is actually more likely.
And they always show them on TV.
Yes.
Stop showing those kinds of people.
That and Ben Stiller. Okay, so I think we've got to the bottom of it. If you have rules about wearing jerseys, and by the way, if you want to take out the room here and say it's okay to wear a current player's jersey, even if you're a man and you're middle age, I can tell you this. Bills fans, I know a lot of guys who are wearing Josh Allen jerseys. And they're probably old enough to be Josh Allen's dad. They've just been waiting so long for someone to root for.
And like, as we said in the last segment, the thing with football is you don't have a non-name option. You can't.
Right.
There isn't just a Bills jersey. Like I can just wear a Mets jersey. I guess basketball's like that too. Like you have to wear somebody's number on your jersey.
Like,
but I have.
Can you kill a guy in Kansas City for getting a Mahomes jersey? I mean,
I guess not. I guess
it's going to age okay.
Yeah.
Okay. EJ, sorry. Hold that thought 1 second. Let's get to Dexter because we've got to keep the time here. What do you have for headlines, Dex?
All right. Well, if you remember yesterday, I asked people to check in on their friends who root for the baseball team on the south side of Chicago because the team had lost 21 straight games. However, I'm sure those friends are much happier today because the White Sox finally won a game, guys. The Southsiders ended their American League record-tying 21-game losing streak with a 5-1 victory over the Oakland Athletics on Tuesday. And Chicago outfielder Andrew Benintendi, he says it feels good to win again.
Feels good. I mean, I think that, everybody here has obviously heard the noise the last few weeks, and it's good to get this one off the weight off our shoulders.
Yeah, so with the win, Chicago improves to 28-88 on the season, which means you still probably want to check.
Nothing like getting
friends.
back to 60 games under 500.
Yeah.
Also, we heard the noise. You think? You guys were on the verge of making the worst kind of history, and you basically tied the record. You just didn't break it.
The greatest part about this entire White Sox season is all the clips of Ozzie Guillen,
yes.
who is employed by the White Sox.
Just
basically
ripping the team.
Ripping the team and basically openly saying how mad he is that they gave the managerial job to Pedro Grifol and that he basically drinks himself to sleep every night.
I feel like Ozzie Guillen's stock has gone way, way up in this whole entire thing.
Oh, yeah.
He might get hired again.
Yeah, but you know what we're missing now, guys? There's no record-breaking loss on Friday followed by fireworks at the stadium.
See, that was my question to you, AB. Are you disappointed because you were out here rooting for anarchy, and now you're not going to get that anarchy, so you're disappointed in this?
The universe aligned for them to break the longest losing streak record ever on Friday night at home against the Cubs and then have post-game fireworks.
That would have been great.
They should make it 25-cent beer night is what they should do. They really wanted to help the fans.
You should get the play. You've got right field in the third inning, Ricky. Thanks for coming.
Oh, man.
Ricky Anderson?
You know what? Bring it back at this point. What
Ricky
does it matter?
can do it.
All right. Florida International University has signed a 5-year deal to rename its football stadium. Get this, guys. After recording artist Pitbull. Pitbull will also become the official entrepreneur of FIU athletics and be involved in the name, image, and likeness at FIU. He will create an FIU anthem and will get to use the stadium up to 10 days per year, along with 2 suites for all football games. Now, FIU's home stadium is going to be simply known as Pitbull Stadium. It's the first college athletic stadium named after a musician. So, guys, do you think we will see a trend of other athletes trying to flex and purchasing the naming rights of college stadiums?
Wait, athletes or musicians?
Excuse me, musicians.
Yeah,
Sorry, I said that.
Or anybody.
This is inspired. I love this from Pitbull. Who was going to be following FIU? FIU or FAU?
FIU.
FIU, thank you. See? Who was going to be following that? And now we got Fireball.
I can't wait for every timeout in the stadium to be a Pitbull song.
Fireball.
I mean, how much Fireball is going to be consumed in these games? Just put it in the Gatorade bottles.
Well, yeah,
at this
18 to 22-year-olds a lot.
Already,
because that's all I drank freshman year.
And Tuesday. And Pitbull Stadium by itself is a great name.
Call it the Pit?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great name. This is a good idea. I wouldn't mind that this keeps happening.
You know, I actually thought about this. You know the person who really has to do this? Because I think their stock is still pretty low. I'm using that term again. Drake.
Yes.
Drake has lost this Kendrick Lamar thing. Remember this happened a couple months ago. It's kind of died down now. If Drake came in and actually committed to a team that he liked enough to buy the naming rights, maybe we get Drake. Maybe that's something in the win column.
See, I was on the other side of this. I think Kendrick Lamar needs to get the naming rights to a stadium and call it a Not Like Us stadium. That's what I'm here for.
In Toronto? Whatever the...
Yeah, that'd be great. Do it in Toronto. I'm fine for that.
Or we can have Bogish once, Andrew Bogish Stadium, home of Fordham Rams football, and then every time out they play Dave Matthews Band and put everybody to sleep.
So,
how do you know what song it is? They all sound the same.
Everyone's doing that dance.
Maggie, this is going so well. 2 hours, 2 shows, and 34 minutes.
Now my true colors are showing. No, it's the only thing I have to say about Dave Matthews. I've actually been to a Dave Matthews show, and I had a great time from what I remember.
You can't save it. It's fine. Back to you, Dexter. Tell me more about Pitbull.
Yeah, good on Pitbull.
But did you read his comments yesterday? It almost sounded like he talked so much about Miami, and I know FIU's in Miami, but it's almost like, I really want to do this with the Hurricanes, but they're too big for this. So I had to downsize FIU because they would take my $1 million to let me sell my vodka and have 10 house parties here and then not playing football games.
It's like stepping stones, You start with FIU. It's like, a coach. You got to climb the ladder a little bit.
Yeah, you level up. It'll be
Mid-major.
interesting.
Yeah. Tap in, everybody. I'm a big FIU fan. I hate to jump on the bandwagon, but I don't have a college football team, and I adopt a new one every year.
So it's FIU this year.
Well, they're in the mix.
Under consideration. Is that where Isaiah Thomas coached?
Yes, that is
correct. It is, right?
Yes.
Tom Herman is somewhere. FAU?
Yes, he replaced Lane Kiffin at FAU. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's in Boca, I believe.
Yes.
And I think that it's Earth, Wind, and Fire is going to be in the naming rights for them. No, I have no idea.
Frank Sinatra.
It'd be cool for September.
Yes, that would. Yes, that would. All right. Yesterday, the USA men's basketball team made light work of Brazil in the quarterfinals of the 2024 Paris Olympics. The Americans trounced Brazil 122-87 to advance to the semis. They will face Serbia on Thursday. Every single Team USA player scored in the 35-point win. To start the knockout stage, Devin Booker led the way with a team-high 18 points. And today in Olympic action, the USA women's squad, they can extend their Olympic winning streak. This is not like the White Sox, to 59 games with a quarterfinal win. Team USA will face off with Nigeria, 3:30 Eastern tip-off there, guys.
Appreciate everyone in the chat weighing in with names maybe for people on the show. Perloff Park, the naming rights, the Bogish Bowl. Keep them coming. Dexter, thank you. Really spices things up for FIU.
I think it's a great idea. And I just reading it, I wish I had the ability to make demands and then have somebody actually agree to them. Like just the gall to be like, I'm going to give you $1 million. You're going to call this Pitbull Stadium. I'm going to need 2 suites, 10 open dates at my discretion. You're going to sell my vodka. And I want the title of official entrepreneur of FIU.
Is that all included?
All that stuff is real.
I think that they were jumping at the opportunity. First of all, who's not going to a Pitbull concert anywhere, let alone in South Florida? He's got to sell those dates out. That's got to be great for the stadium.
Yeah. And now they got you. Like they're just picking up new fans along the way here.
Maybe I'll buy a jersey.
Do you know what?
But not of a current player.
No,
heaven
you can't.
forbid.
Do you know what their nickname is? FIU Superfan?
I kept thinking Owls, but that's FAU.
Yes.
They are definitely. Go ahead, Maggie. I think I know what it is.
FIU. I'm thinking, is it a Golden Eagle?
It is not.
Is it a?
It's a non-flying entity.
It's a cat, right? A type of cat.
Oh, is it a panther?
I think they're the Panthers.
Yeah.
Bang.
But honestly, I'm on Fanatics right now. I'm buying stuff. The Pit. Okay, 855-212-4227. We have lots more to do, including we continue our college football conversation. Don't move. Bogusch and I, back in a minute.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Bogish is in for Andrew Perloff, who is vacationing right now on the West Coast, and well-deserved. The USA Today coaches poll came out on Monday. Yesterday, Bogish, we talked about the overrated teams and the underrated teams, but I want to give you this just observation. Of the top 25 teams in this preseason ranking, 9 teams have come from the SEC and 6 teams have come from the Big Ten. While the Big 12, I think, is going to be a lot of fun this year and it's going to be interesting, let's just focus on these top 2 conferences for a moment. Is there a world where the Big Ten actually gets more teams into the 12-team college football playoff than the SEC? Let's remind everybody, this is the format. 5 automatic qualifiers get in, so that means 7 at-large bids, and let's just kind of assume Pat Boyle's Notre Dame Fighting Irish will be one of those teams who's an independent. So how many of the now 6 at-large bids do you think, like, how's it going to break down? Who's actually going to get more teams in?
Yeah, so like Kyle Shanahan said, there's a scenario for everything. I mean, could the Big Ten get the most at-large spots? Maybe, but it would take too many things going right, things that I don't think could happen for the Big Ten to edge out the SEC.
Okay, tell us what.
So the Big Ten is, to me, about Ohio State and Oregon, and after that, I just don't know. Like we talked about Michigan being kind of overrated yesterday. Even I think Bruce Feldman kind of hinted at it. There's just so many things that they're replacing, plus a new head coach. How are they the 8th best team in America in this list? Wisconsin. Anybody else you throw in there? There's just
Penn State, Iowa, USC.
Yeah, there's just limitations to anyone you throw in there. At USC, who we're going to talk about more on the show this morning, they're projected at 8.5 wins. And is their defense fixed? Maybe not. How hot is Lincoln Riley's seat? We get to the SEC, and you've got Georgia, and you've got Ole Miss, and you've got Alabama, you've got Tennessee, you've got Missouri, who people thought were underrated at 11 in this list because they've got a pro quarterback and a pro wide receiver. It just seems like the ceiling is higher and the floor is higher in the SEC.
Okay. Here's where I can make the case for the Big Ten to get more at-large bids in the college football playoff than the SEC. You even said it yesterday. You think Ohio State's the best team in the country. Even if I think that's Georgia, that's fine. So you're going to get 2 in. Are we sure that Texas and their jump from the Big 12 to the SEC is going to go as seamlessly as people think? And I'll say ditto Oklahoma. And Oklahoma, I actually worry about just a hair more because their schedule on paper is a lot more difficult than what Texas is kind of. I'm not saying they're easing in by any stretch, but Oklahoma, it's definitely harder. Bama, same stuff as Michigan. Coming off of, moving on from a coach. Are we sure? I know they have their Jalen Milroe returns, but are we sure that this is going to be seamless? Ole Miss is a team that a lot of people have high expectations for. It's been a while since Lane Kiffin's really been able to deliver on those types of expectations. And how generally with a Lane Kiffin team, when you are coming off of double-digit seasons, you actually are taking a step back after that season as opposed to just taking the logical step forward, although I realize they have a very experienced team. Mizzou, they won a lot of tight games last year, a lot of close games. Some of those don't go the way you think they're going to go or go the opposite way. Maybe we're not as high as Mizzou. Did LSU actually fix their defense? A&M has got a new coach, and they have yet to deliver on big expectations. So there is a scenario where Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, Penn State, Iowa, I'm not sure they changed their offensive coordinator, but where there's just a little bit more there's more wins to be had in the Big Ten, maybe because you can beat up a little bit more on the bottom feeders and you can squint and see a scenario where the Big Ten actually gets more teams in to the college football playoff.
Sure, but I just think when this list, this initial 25 from the coaches, has 9 SEC schools and 6 Big Ten schools, that tells you where the value lies and where people are maybe ready to look past an extra loss in the SEC because it's the SEC.
Right.
And I normally am the guy that says, stop sweating the SEC like by default. But in this head-to-head comparison, like we try to do this like legitimately down the middle, and we couldn't really like in full good faith make a Big Ten argument. Like you're like grasping at straws. Like this has got to hit. This has got to hit. This has got to hit. And in the SEC, like I kind of know that 4 of those teams are gonna hit.
Right. So I agree with you. However, I'm curious on how the committee, which is not the coaches poll, this will be the college football playoff committee poll. What do they do if it's like a 10-2 Penn State and it's a 9-3 LSU? Right? Like it's obvious, right, that Penn State would beat them out because the 2 losses versus the 3 losses, but you're saying that maybe that is not the correct math if LSU has the harder schedule.
And sometimes they like context and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just,
moving target.
Right, they push everybody forward because you keep winning. Other times they go, oh, sorry, FSU, you don't have your quarterback anymore, so you're out. And we have lawsuits. So like it's hard to peg the group and what all their motivations are. But I think in a general way, they believe and acknowledge the context of records. And in this hypothetical, there's probably going to be a way from the go. Well, that 3rd loss is tough, but I think Penn State would have lost 2 other games if they were in the SEC. So like, yeah, again, there's certainly a scenario where this plays out in the Big Ten's favor, but it just feels like too many things have to hit for that to be the case.
855-212-4227 asking you, who do you think is going to get more teams into the college football playoff when all is said and done? Is it the SEC? Are they going to beat up at each other and our record's going to take a hit? Or is it the Big Ten? Pat, I want to give you a second to give me on a scale of 1 to 10 your excitement level on Notre Dame as our diehard Fighting Irish fan here. Are you like at an 11? Are you trying to temper your expectations?
I'm at 10.
10 out of 10.
I'm at a 10. I guess you could say I'm at an 11. Well, no, I'd say 10 out of 10 because I'm jacked up. I'm ready for the Irish to go into College Station with the big bad, the 12th man, the 12th man, like as if Texas A&M is such a tough place to play at, and they're going to kick Mike Elko and the Aggies' ass. They're going to bully them around in the trenches, and that's going to set the table for, at worst, an 11-1 season, and the highest seed they'll probably get from that is the 5 because they can't get a 1 through 4, so there'll be a 5, and I expect the Irish to be one of the last 4 teams in the college football playoff this year. And Riley Leonard is going to absolutely ball out week in and week out.
When you found out that he had the other surgery not that long ago, Riley Leonard, did it make you feel any type of way? Because he's really got to be able to run using his legs is major. And then it kind of out of nowhere was like, oh, actually he had another surgery.
Yeah. Well, a little hiccup, a little cause for concern.
I know.
But he was at an 11 before that.
Yeah, right.
Well, seeing everything he's been saying and watching some clips of him, he looks good.
Yeah,
he looks great, and again, we can overreact all we want to, scrimmage highlights and training camp highlights, but he looks great. He says he feels great. He says his legs and his ankle feels totally fine. So I'm ready to go, man. We lose a first round, a top 5 draft pick, and Joe Alt, and we just keep churning out All-American offensive linemen in and year out.
I got to be honest. I think this 12-team playoff is the best for Notre Dame. This is amazing for Notre Dame because I think that this is such a good path for them to be constantly getting into. Like, I expect them to be perennially there because, first of all, they have this sort of outside lane of being independent. And then the other part is I think they love Notre Dame as a TV product. Obviously they do, and I think they'll do anything they can. I'm not saying, wait it, but we just saw, as Bogus said, we just saw FSU get totally disrespected, not get in the top 4, and you don't think that there was a non-football component that came into that? There definitely was. It's a TV show, and I think that played a big role.
Right. In good ways and bad ways, they cannot be trusted to make the right football decisions. But you're right in that there's just...
And that helps Notre Dame.
Yes, 100%. Notre Dame being Notre Dame always helps. Now, didn't they just have a big injury on their offensive line? Somebody got hurt this week. A projected
DJ's
starter.
Giving you a thumbs up. Yeah.
So, I mean, that is a thing for Riley Leonard's protection. I think his last name is like Jagusa. I don't know how to... He's new to me, so I apologize.
He's going to be the starting left tackle.
Right, so that's a little bit of a problem for Notre Dame. That might make the 12th man a little more impactful.
Are we at a 9.5 now? We were at an 11, then a 10. Our excitement level...
You can't keep me down.
Yeah.
You want to talk about injuries to left tackles? We just roll out another All-American.
Okay. 855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in on college football. Getting excited that the season's right here on the horizon. Coming up, we do dive in to one topic. Lincoln Riley. What's going on with USC? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, we're looking for answers to one of sports' greatest questions. No, not when will Brandon Aiyuk get traded. We're also waiting on that. Welcome to the show. Did I introduce us? Maggie Gray. Andrew Bogusch is in for Andrew Perloff this week. We'll get back to Aiyuk and the will they, won't they trade him scenario, which is still bubbling. But, Bogusch, it was always a question, why, besides the money, I guess, why did Lincoln Riley flee Oklahoma for USC in a way that felt kind of abrupt at the time? You know, Riley really had this good thing going at Oklahoma. It was like Heisman Trophy winner after Heisman Trophy winner. He's sending all these quarterbacks to the draft. Oklahoma kind of became like a quarterback with Jalen Hurts and with Baker Mayfield, and they just had so much, Kyler Murray, they had so much talent.
They ran the Big 12.
Totally. And he's making the college football playoff. Every year they were a factor. So then to go to USC in the way that he did, and yeah, they paid him a boatload of money, so I get that. But there was a thought that Lincoln Riley was ducking Oklahoma moving to the SEC. The fact is he liked sort of reigning in the Big 12 and didn't want the smoke, as the kids say. Well, Barry Switzer, who obviously is a college football legend in Norman, he was on with Dan Dockich, and he said, quote, "I think it's because Lincoln wasn't involved in the decision to go to the SEC. They didn't even ask him about it. And the next thing he was like us, he just heard about it." Now, my question to you, does that hold up? Can you really feel that scorned, hurt, bitter, blindsided, where you actually pick up and leave and go to a different school, conference, and go to the coast because they didn't consult you on this decision?
You can be insulted by it. You can be confused and angry or whatever. I don't know that can be the reason why you leave. Maybe it fuels okay, I'll take that money. Or it gives you the opening to dodge the smoke of the SEC. So, I get, if I'm the football coach of Oklahoma, not that I need to be involved in this conversation, but I can't find out from a Bruce Feldman tweet. You got to give me a heads up that this is happening just so I know. So you can be pissed off about that, but I don't know that you can leave in a huff for a different job.
I hope this isn't true. I hope this isn't true. And listen, Barry Switzer's going to know and be more plugged in with what's going on that campus than any of us. But I hope this isn't true, because how could Lincoln Riley, even if you are responsible for a lot of success with the football program, this is a decision that happens way over anybody's head. We're talking about multi-million dollars, maybe even to the billions when it's all said and done, a move from one conference to the next. What that means in terms of how much TV revenue you're getting, what it means in terms of, everything. Your life changes for a college when you move conferences. To think that he should have been more, what if he said no? I want to stay in the Big 12. They're not going to do it? This to me all of it would seem kind of weak sauce if he was either ducking the SEC or he was just in his feelings, Lincoln Riley, that he wasn't given more of a heads up or consulted that the school was going to switch conferences.
But let's focus at least on being in his feelings, and think of all the things that go into taking this job. You have it. You go through interviews. You talk about the future, long-term goals and plans, and this is coming. And then when you're the football coach at Oklahoma, you're like the third most important person in the athletic department. There's the AD, there's probably a booster or two that's funding the whole thing. And then there's you. So there should be an expectation of that power gang is going to give me a heads up on what's going on. They might not ask for my opinion.
Right.
They might not, or if they do, they might not give it a ton of value. But you should find out from them. It's like when a player gets traded, like the GM should tell you.
Right.
You shouldn't find out because Jeff Passan tweeted it and you open up your phone first like that.
Yeah,
like,
pack my bags. I'm headed to Milwaukee. I get it.
So the bigger sin to me would be being afraid of the SEC and running away from the SEC, and that's never going to go away. Like, that's always good. Like, too many people believe that was the reason that Lincoln Riley wanted out of Oklahoma, that he just didn't want to have to fight. And, like, there is a little bit of logic in there, but it goes against all of this, the competitor nonsense that we normally hear from these guys.
The other part, too, is you might end up, like, cutting off your nose to spite your face with this whole move. Granted, he got a ton of money to go to USC, so, that
worked out well.
It worked out well. He's got, like, this mansion.
And now he's in the Big Ten.
I've seen the video. I've seen the photos of the house. It's pretty dope. But yeah, now you go to the Pac-12 and that conference disintegrates. There's only 2 teams left. And now you got to deal with Ohio State and Michigan, and good luck with all that. There's another part about this Lincoln Riley thing, which is he's had 3 years now to build that program. Should you be done building it in 3 years? And the fact that he had Caleb Williams both at Oklahoma and then at USC, and they were bad. And a lot of it comes down to his reluctance to really change the defense in a way that was going to be meaningful. And he was slow to do it. He's made more changes now, bringing home over the defensive coordinator from UCLA, Anthony Lynn's son. And he really can only point to himself. Like, you have a generational talent in Caleb Williams, and you're 7-5. I mean, because you didn't want to change the defense. And so I don't think he's on the hot seat, and that would be a little early. But he's got a quarterback that we're not sure if this is going to be another first-round pick or another number 1 overall pick in Miller Moss. And
not Mason Mock. We went all over the place trying to figure out his alliterative name yesterday on our call.
To be honest, I think people are getting they're not that patient at USC. Because they remember a once proud program, and they are a proud program. They're a blue blood, and yet they don't have the results to show for it recently.
Definitely proud, but they've also had to pay a bunch of money to get rid of coaches, and I think his buyout is like $80 million-ish. So, that's
Jimbo Fisher.
Right, so that's Jimbo Fisher territory. I don't think they're that frustrated yet. So he's like hot seat adjacent. He's hovering over the seat. He hasn't sat in the hot seat just yet, but it's there if this year doesn't go well, unless there's a lot of already pre-sympathy for the Big 12 transfer, or the Big 10 move, that they're going to just go, okay, this is year 1 of the Big 10, and that gives them a weird,
I think it does.
A little more,
a little wiggle room, right?
I guess a little bit, and their schedule is pretty crazy. They're playing LSU right week 0, and they tried to get out of that game because of what's coming after it. So they might take some lumps here. But I don't think his job is in jeopardy just yet. But clearly, a lot of things have to change, not just the defensive stuff. I was really bothered last year by all the stupid stuff with the media and taking somebody's credential away.
Oh, yeah.
And players didn't talk or didn't have to talk. Acting as if he was coaching still in this tiny town where he was the king of the whole thing, and he's not. And stuff that's not it made me a little nervous about the overall kind of culture and identity there that certainly needs to be fixed, starting with him.
Yeah. Well, have they established a culture and an identity?
Yeah, maybe that's, or they have the wrong one established.
The funny thing, too, we're talking about Lincoln Riley at USC and what's at stake for them this year as they move into the Big Ten along with Oregon, Washington. And, okay, so here's the other part of this, right? I think one thing that he did that kind of upset some people in LA, from what I can tell, is he left open the door to take the USC Notre Dame rivalry off the table. Because he was saying that, you got to see what Alabama does and what Nick Saban did. And they set up a schedule that was to win a championship, not just have rivalries. Obviously, we know Alabama has Auburn at the end of the Iron Bowl. It's a great rivalry. But Alabama also will schedule a random team towards the end of the year as sort of a tune-up or a rest or whatever, as opposed to Notre Dame and USC and this amazing rivalry that I think means a lot to the people who are involved in it. And the fact that an outsider in Lincoln Riley left the door open to say, hey, we've got to get rid of this thing to make an easier non-conference schedule so that we can get into the college football playoff. I think, it might work, left and rubbed people the wrong way. Like, you don't get us. You don't get what this is about if you just want to cavalierly talk about getting rid of that rivalry.
So I'll say this, I guess, in Lincoln Riley's defense, talking to football and basketball coaches as kind of often as I do, this is the after NIL transfer portal stuff. This conversation comes up as much as any. Scheduling, because you've got leagues telling schools how to schedule, and we got to hit these certain landmarks, or, this is how we get, the end goal is the college football playoff. So here's how we get here. Or the end goal is March Madness. This is how we get here. And sometimes those games, they're too dangerous, or sometimes they're not good enough anymore. Like, sometimes you become too big to play who used to be your rival. And the only danger is losing that game. Winning it does nothing for you. So, like, and it's a very strong divide between the head coach and the AD, and then all of these old-timey boosters who they care about the jug, the axe, whatever the bragging rights are, but that game doesn't serve the larger purpose. And it's a fight that coaches usually lose, because especially as you're on your way up, you don't have the cachet to tell the old checkbook guy, hey, we got to do it this way now.
And do it differently.
Kind of give in to them.
EJ, I'm curious about your thoughts on this. Lincoln Riley and what he's facing going into this season. What is it?
I think the worst thing that happened to Lincoln Riley was that first year with Caleb Williams and the success they had. Because let's really remember what Clay Helton was at the end of his time at USC. They were a 6-win team. There were empty seats at the Coliseum. There was no excitement for the program. They were essentially dead. And I think people expected the move to USC for Lincoln Riley to take a little more time. He's gonna have to rebuild the program, totally different offense, totally different people, a lot of transfers. We knew this was gonna be more of a rebuild. But he brings Caleb Williams in, like, I get it, bringing him in. But he wins a Heisman, they win 10-plus games, they compete for a playoff. They were way ahead of schedule. Lincoln Riley, I think, is probably around where he should be. Like 10 wins the first year, 7 wins, that's what? 17 wins in 2 seasons, about 8.5 win average. That's about probably where he should be. That is better than they were with Clay Helton. But I think the problem was that early success, I think, made a lot of USC fans delusional in terms of what to expect. Now, I agree with Bogish. He has absolutely not helped himself one bit with anything he's done and said in terms of how he's dealt with the media, how he's dealt with the fans, how he's dealt with the boosters. But I think a lot of early success is kind of why we're looking at Lincoln Riley saying, well, maybe he's on the hot seat, or he's also talked about early retirement. That hasn't done well.
I forgot about that aspect.
Well, yeah, he's like 50, or I don't think he's 50. He's like, I might retire when I turn 50, which is like, dude, that's 6 years from now. Why are you even thinking about retirement?
Yeah, a little.
So I think he made a lot. I think he made a lot of tactical errors, and then combined with the early success is kind of why Lincoln Riley's in this rough patch he's in right now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is about the expectations, though, it's like you did have this guy on campus who was otherworldly, and it was your reluctance to really address the defense. You dragged your feet on it, and look at what happened. Like, you did not improve enough to keep yourself in these games. I mean, imagine where they would be if Caleb Williams wasn't as good as he was. I mean, it would have been even worse. So he saved their bacon in some of those games. So I'm curious what the fans think about Lincoln Riley at 855-212-4227. Again, this goes back to a quote from Barry Switzer, who was on Dan Dockich's show. We can play it for you. Actually, we have it. This is what the former coach had to say.
I knew Lincoln real well. Hey, I think it's because Lincoln wasn't involved in the decision to go to the SEC. They didn't even ask him about it. And next thing he was like us, where he just heard about it. And he had an agent all along looking for something better, maybe. But the only thing I'm upset about, he took the damn guys, the receiver and the quarterback with him that we recruited here. They're great players. And
Thank you, Barry Switzer. Thank you for getting that cut. I mean, he found out about it like the rest of us? That's an interesting morning.
Yeah.
It's like, what did Pete Thamel tweet today? Like, whoa, we're going to the SEC.
We landed
I better get out of here.
Let's
go to the Pac-12. Oh, that dissolved? This guy is just running from it. 855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in on USC. Okay, we go back to the NFL next. This is an interesting one. A quarterback weighing in on what's going on with his body. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Bogish is in for Andrew Perloff, who's on vacation this week. We were asking about Lincoln Riley, the expectations for him at USC this season. You had a quote from Barry Switzer, former Oklahoma coach and Cowboys coach, obviously, who said he thinks that part of the reason that Lincoln Riley fled Oklahoma to go to USC is because he was not consulted on the move to the SEC. Oklahoma sort of just did this, and he found out apparently like the rest of us, like over breakfast at Sooner Legends. I'm not sure where. Brent is in Seattle, wants to weigh in. Good morning, Brent. How are you?
Yes, hello. I'm a University of Washington graduate, been following USC for a long time as an opponent and a rival. I hate the breakup of the Pac-12. I think that USC fans, they're better off than Washington, where we lost half of our roster and have 2 returning starters from that national title appearance. That coaching change, half the roster left. But I think that USC, if they're willing to be satisfied with finishing second and third in the conference, Oregon will probably be better and maybe winning one conference title a decade. Because it'll be tougher in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
In the Pac-12, it was realistic for USC to win 4 or 5 conference titles a decade. Now they're looking at maybe 1 or 2. In Washington, on the other hand, we'll be looking at 1 every 20 years, whereas it used to be 2 or 3 a decade.
Oh, man. Well, Brent, I feel for you because you're coming off this high of the national championship game, and Penix is a first rounder, and Odunze and everything, and you know what? I still think that Washington, there's a path back for you. And thank you so much for calling. I love that stadium. I love that stadium more than any football stadium in the country. Getting to be there was like a true joy where you have all of the boats on the sound. I mean, it is gorgeous. Here's the thing, though, about USC and Washington and Oregon going into the Big Ten. Let's not forget, there were some real down years for Michigan. Right now, Ohio State's Ohio State. But right now, Michigan is the juggernaut who's beat them 3 times and just won the national title and all of that. But that is not a given in the post-Jim Harbaugh world. And as EJ's pointed out many times, there were some lean years with Harbaugh. I mean, they wanted him out at times. Remember when he had to take a pay cut? He's flirting with, openly at the Minnesota Vikings facility on signing day. I mean, it wasn't all great. And, I don't think it's such doom and gloom for these Pac-12 teams outside of Oregon, the other Pac-12 teams joining the Big Ten.
No. I think, though, there is a little, maybe tiny bit of, as the callers, kind of scaling back the numbers, how often you can be at the tippy top. But, they also know how to do things now. And Jed Fisher at Washington tried his best. He said after the fact, it's one thing, but he's saying, he kept the handful of guys that he really wanted to keep, guys he thinks are trendsetters and tone setters for the program. He brought some Arizona guys with him. They did well in the portal. If you know how to kind of run the program, so to speak, this year and now, and you've got the cash sources that are available these days as well, you can figure things out pretty quickly. And this goes back to our SEC versus Big Ten conversation. Okay, you've got Ohio State, you've got Michigan, you've got Penn State. After that, there's not terrible team, a terribly long list of teams that you have to overcome to find success in that league.
I agree. I mean, that's always how the Big Ten has been. I mean, this is why generally they got rid of the different divisions within the conference. Thank goodness, because the Big Ten title game was almost unwatchable,
right?
In certain years because it was such a division. They did that in the SEC also. You're welcome to continue the conversation at 855-212-4227 on the expectations for USC this year. We are online. Hi, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network, and on X at Maggie Gray. If you want to see the stream, we say good morning to our Infinity Sports Network affiliates, who we absolutely adore, and SiriusXM channel 158. Dexter Henry is here. He's got headlines for us this morning. Dex, what's going on in the world?
All right, here's what's going on. Charles Barkley is not going anywhere. The Hall of Fame player announced on Tuesday that he intends to remain with TNT Sports through the remainder of his contract and that he will not retire next season. After saying that he would, remember he did that back during the NBA Finals in June, Barkley said at the time that the 2024-25 NBA season would be his last on television, no matter what eventually happened with the NBA's media deal negotiations. Now, the NBA recently left TNT Sports with its new 11-year media rights deal, which will begin with the 25-26 season. ESPN, ABC, NBC, and Amazon Prime, they were expected to court Barkley before Tuesday's announcement. And, Warner Brothers Discovery, the parent company of TNT Sports, has sued the NBA, in New York State Court after the league did not accept the company's matching offer for one of the packages in its new media rights deal.
That's a long way of saying Maggie was right.
Listen, that was one of the easiest predictions I've ever made when I knew that Barkley retirement was the emptiest possible threat. I don't even know if it was a threat. It was just Barkley feeling impulsive. You think Charles Barkley, who's become like one of the most important TV commentators, sports commentators we have, was just going to casually drop that he's retiring? Not even on TNT. He was on NBA TV after like game 2 of the NBA Finals. Give me a break. Like, that is, what have we learned about Charles Barkley? Like, he would not just do it that way.
Yeah, I was never buying it. What do you guys want to see him do now that it looks like it's going to be a wrap for Inside the NBA?
So from what I could read, it looks like they're going to try to do a show just called like Inside Sports. So instead of Inside the NBA, it's going to be EJ, it'll be Shaq, it'll be Kenny and Charles, and they'll have all these highlights from college football now with TNT, everything but the NFL. They'll be able to use, I think, NBA highlights, so they can have this sort of sports variety show, and these guys will comment on everything.
I don't like it.
Are you going to tune in?
First of all, stunned. EJ pointed this out. He signed through like 2030 at TNT. Like, this is not like, oh, I'm sticking around for 3 more years.
2032.
Like, it's crazy times. What's
the world's going to look like in 2032? But probably a lot like this.
Not even that. How, again, about these dopes messing this up? They signed him through 2032 to talk about the NBA, and then they got into a staring contest with the NBA and lost. And now they have to make up ways to satisfy all these contracts with these guys. And I love them, but we've already seen them on college basketball, which is not that far of a departure from NBA basketball. And it's like they don't know what they're watching. I don't need these guys breaking down anything other than NBA basketball. It's not going to go well.
Okay, so I think this is a show that you're not going to have to watch, because anything that gets said that's kind of interesting, inflammatory, a talking point is just going to get aggregated and it's just going to be out there. Like, I have no doubt this TNT production staff can make a great show. Clearly they can make a great show. They made the best studio show that we have had of the last 20 years. So it will be a watchable show. I just don't know how much people will watch it when everything will get aggregated, to, oh, did you hear what Charles Barkley said about Lamar Jackson or something? I don't know.
And Bogues, I agree with you, because, again, they clearly didn't watch a lick of college basketball. They also didn't watch much NBA.
No, they did not. They did not.
Chuck couldn't tell you more than 2 players on, like, any playoff contending team, let alone the subpar teams in the league.
Facts.
That was the casuals of... Yeah,
they
would call everyone else casual.
He was talking about the Hawks. He go, they got Trae Young, DeJounte Murray. And,
how's Neek playing?
And then I think he gave 2 guys that weren't on the Hawks anymore.
That was part of the charm, though, Pat. It's like, they know what they're talking about, even if they don't know the facts and figures, right? It's like they still have the gravitas to comment on the NBA, even if they don't know their Boyan from their Bogdanovich.
I think that's what made the show great. But I'm with AB on this, that I'm not sure that works if it's not the NBA.
Right. Like they're sitting there like last night talking about the White Sox finally winning, and they do their race to the scoreboard in the back. Like, that's still going to be funny when they're trying to pronounce Pedro Grifol.
You still do the gone fishing after you've lost 21 in a row. Bring it back. The other part, too, is they apparently want Barkley, that is, to still be like a voice on CNN. So he and Gayle King had this show that I don't think went very far or whatever. I don't even think it's on anymore.
That's done. It stopped in the spring.
Right. So they were commenting on all things politics, and that is just another hilarious thing. Barkley has reached a status where anything he says is news. He can comment on anything, and he's deserves that, I guess. But I just imagine some of these crazy political stories, like, it's only getting crazier on the politics side. It's like, do we get Charles Barkley weighing in on the RFK bear story? It's like, all right, what happened? He hit a bear and then he put it in the car and then he pretended that someone hit it with a bike. Central Park, like, is that how they're going to get their money's worth with Charles?
I'm reading tweets about this now, and I guess when CBS lost the NFL years ago, they thought, and Brian Curtis is tweeting about this at Brian Curtis on Twitter, that they thought about keeping the NFL Today and then realized, why are we doing an infomercial for a game in a league that just broke up with us financially? So they just even bother doing it. Like that, at some point, someone at Turner's going to go, why are we showing love for the NBA?
Well, they have some highlights. They have some contracts, rather. They do golf. They do the tournament, the NCAA tournament. They're getting into college football.
Right.
It's not like all of a sudden it's the home shopping network, and they have no tie to sports.
No, but it is like simping for the ex that just dumped you.
I'd rather watch live watch a Charmed episode than break down. Like, what are they going to do now? Like this time of year, they're going to do training camp previews on that show?
That'd be hilarious. They're like sending Charles to training camp. Again, you don't have to watch it. It's going to get aggregated if he's like playing ping pong with Josh Allen.
It's the steam room with me and Josh Allen.
Yeah, no thanks.
EJ, you're shaking your head. You don't like this.
I just feel like Charles Barkley is one of the best sports personalities we've had, as Maggie said, over the last 20, 25, maybe 30 years at this point. I just feel like when we've seen Charles do other things, it sounds like a better idea than it is.
Right.
Like him doing golf sounds like a better idea. And then we watch it and we're like, oh, he doesn't really know anything. He's not providing much. Putting him on March Madness. This sounds like a great idea. Just put him on basketball just with the college kids. How bad could that be? And it never works out the way we think. And I think sometimes people are just great at what they are. And he's great at being an NBA analyst. That's what he's great at.
Yeah.
And I think when they try to move him outside of the realm of what he's good at, I mean, remember he tried to do that weird trying to see the divide of racism in America, and he had that weird, like he was doing all this weird stuff, and like people thought it sounded like an idea because he's Charles Barkley, everybody loves him, but then you watch the content and you're like, this isn't it.
Yeah,
and sometimes
right.
just because like don't put like Hideki Matsui at catcher. Like, don't let Pedro Martinez,
right.
Don't let
Stay in
Pedro
your
Martinez
lane.
Pedro
So to
Martinez
speak.
can't be a quarterback. Doesn't mean he's not a great pitcher.
Right. I agree. The only thing that gives me a little pause is the fact that there are great producers behind the scenes there, and these are talented people who know how to make TV. The people who make Inside the NBA. Lots of people can yakety-yak about sports. They know how to make a really great show. Could they do that and expand it? I have no doubt. I don't know how popular it will be. All right. What else?
I think this fizzles out somehow. Like somehow they agree to not be together anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
You think they break up?
I think
Barkley
at some point,
and TNT.
Yeah, at some point they go, this is weird. Like all the things we just went through, they're going to come up in meetings. That's like when you're not doing NBA basketball, it's just not the same effect. So why are we going to do this? Like,
I've got a sitcom bracket they can, but we already did it.
He's under contract though, Bogus.
Yeah, so you can always agree to not be under contract anymore.
Yeah,
it happens.
Really? Were they going to buy him out?
No, both sides come to an agreement, and he'll just let Amazon pay him instead of TNT.
Oh, how about this? You could do a trade. Remember the media? There's been like media trades in the past that have been floated out there. I think there was a Katie Nolan for Marty. What's Marty's last name?
The country dude?
Marty Smith?
Marty Smith. There was like a Katie Nolan for Marty Smith trade that never happened. That was once in the works.
Well, and then what was when Al Michaels moved? Didn't he wasn't the original Mickey Mouse thing involved somehow?
The cartoon.
Yeah.
Some
The
rights
drawing,
to
I
some
think.
cartoon were definitely involved. So
Steamboat Willie.
Steamboat Willie.
Who do you trade Charles Barkley to for what? It's like, all right, we'll trade you to Amazon, but we want, Richard Sherman and
Like
Carissa Thompson.
Yeah, season 5 of The Boys airs on TNT instead of.
Yeah, it's like we'll trade you to Fox, but we're gonna need Brady for 3 dates a year, and it'd be fun.
Fun negotiations.
What else we got?
That would be all right. Another day, another scuffle at a joint practice between the Lions and the Giants on Tuesday. A fight centered around New York rookie wide receiver Malik Neighbors, who in 2 joint practices caught 17 of 18 passes thrown his way against the Lions. Neighbors got into it with Detroit safety Kirby Joseph, and both players started swinging. This comes after the teams had quite a few scuffles during Monday's joint practice. Guys, do you have any concern about player fights breaking out in these practices, or should we just view them as spirited practices.
Yeah, this is a good time to tell you that Giants legend Phil Simms will be joining the show at 9 o'clock Eastern time. He was
to fight us.
He's going to punch us both in the face. It's going to be great. He was actually, he's been at these joint practices because he's going to be calling the preseason games for the Giants. So we'll get a little boots on the ground from Phil Simms, which is exciting. I think the Giants are obviously trying to make a statement here. I thought the Daniel Jones thing was a lot more calculated than other people did. I think he just watched a TV show where a team was looking to draft his replacement for like 7 episodes, which is kind of a long time. I think he wants to show leadership. I think he wanted to be chippy there, and I think Malik Neighbors is now following that lead. And I think the Giants want to change their reputation that they're a soft team. And I don't know if this means anything, but it certainly feels a little coordinated in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess my fear is that like you do this when you're not that talented. So like your calling card is to muck it up a little bit and be chippy and stuff like that. Like I'd rather than just be good at football and let that be the talking. So and then there's always my just kind of general fear of worst case scenario. Like it's great that Malik Neighbors got into a fight yesterday, but what if he broke his hand by slapping Kirby Joseph in the helmet for no reason on a Tuesday afternoon in August?
I mean, yeah, he'd be back for the season, but I get your point. It'd be unnecessary, more for the quarterbacks, I think, than the wide receivers to put yourself in harm's way. But I think you get more out of this than you potentially lose.
Yeah, I just think like the Lions' whole like kneecap thing, like it played well because they were good after the fact. Like
not at first though.
3-13 season.
Yeah,
but the kneecaps.
But the building.
But then they turned it around. Yeah.
But in a sport that's reliant upon hitting people and emotional and physical strength and mental strength of, hey, we got to take it to them any way we can. I think that's how teams go from rebuilding to being good.
Right.
As you're transitioning, as you're getting more talented players, you have to, I think, as grown men, stand up to another team like the Lions that are Super Bowl contenders, that I think they played the Giants in the preseason last year, and they kind of got into some fights, and then the Lions, I mean, it's a preseason game, but anyway. So, like, the Giants are, I think, saying to themselves, hey, we gotta stand up here, and we got to push them around, even if it is preseason, because we got to then do this once the regular season starts, and we have to win games with strength and discipline rather than just being talented.
I think it's a good point. The other part is the Lions had to overcome a reputation of being losers, right? Of being, the doormat of the NFL, and they have turned that around with Dan Campbell. The Giants, to me, have no identity whatsoever. It is such a blank slate for them because as much as we got from that Hard Knocks show, what'd you get really from Daboll? We know he's a fiery guy, but that hasn't really translated to the team. It more seems like it translates to him fighting with coaches, and Wink Martindale is gone, their defensive coordinator. Saquon Barkley's gone. He was the most popular player. What is the identity of this team? And I think they're trying to fill in the gaps here with being tough and trying to show that they actually are a tough team. So
I think that's my problem, I think, Maggie, is this was Daboll year one, and you're trying to establish a culture, and this is how they're doing it. I think I would understand this. This is year 3.
Right.
Like we're doing the whole, we're going to fight a bunch of people in year 3. Like, where was this energy when you were building this team? Like, I don't know. When I see stuff like this, it makes me feel like it's false bravado. It makes me feel like, you're not this kind of team. So, like, let's just try to be outside of our normal comfort zone to show that we're something that we're not.
Yeah, I
think Brian Burns had the best point. He was like, like we said about Daniel Jones, like, let's let some goons handle it.
Right. Don't need the starting quarterback out there. But
my superstar wide receiver doing this stuff, like, that doesn't make sense at all to me.
It's a fair point. I think what happened in the first year, if you remember that season, the Giants ended up making the playoffs. They got so lucky in a couple of those games. Literally, like, the kickers missing field goals, for the opponent kicker missing field goals for them to win. That happened in Tennessee early in the season, kind of changed the course of the year a little bit. I think they were just like, oh, it's working. Like, oh, we're winning games. We're a playoff team. And they're just so happy to be in the playoffs. And then they draw the Minnesota Vikings, who were the paper tiger of all paper tigers, and they win on the road in Minnesota. And I think Daboll was just like, oh, I guess this works. I don't, and everyone fooled themselves into thinking it would just be this easy. And then the next year, Jones got hurt and everything fell apart. Dex, I think that's all the time we have. We'll catch up with you next hour. Thank you. Coming up, Hard Knocks debuted last night with the Chicago Bears. We'll give you our biggest takeaways from the Caleb Williams show next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Bogush had a plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, Jack, let's show 'em how the Bogush boys can play. But little did they know he had whiskey in his sway.
Oh, Andrew Bogush swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat.
Jack's team was laughing as Dad took his stance, wobbling at the plate in a tipsy baseball dance. The coach was shaking his head, moms were all aghast, but Andrew Bogush grinned, living in the past.
Oh, Andrew Bogush swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. He hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogush swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. Hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. To the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogush swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. So if you see a little league and laughter fills the air, look for Andrew Bogush, you might find him there. With a grin and a wink, he'll raise a drink on high, playing ball with Jack's team under the summer sky.
Andrew Bogush had a plan on a sunny afternoon.
Get it with Snoop to your double chill on the beat. Paris got a problem, Mickey Cully ain't discreet. Olympics coming fast, but the water's not neat. Gotta clean it up, make the competition sweet. Snoop's in the house and he's laying it down. In Paris where the river's supposed to wear the crown, but there's trouble in the water, yeah, it's going around. While Peter Buddy's on the sideline, not making a sound. Now Peter Bellotti ain't fazed by the fuss. While the city's in a hurry, he's missing the bus. Olympic fever high and everyone's a rush. Peter's laid back in the calm, no crush.
Oh, Pete Milan, he's got a new shirt. It's purple and snazzy, ain't no dirt. Got it from his kids on Father's Day. Now he wears it in a proud peacock way. Hey!
Andrew Bogusch is in for Andrew Perloff. And obviously, I have a husband, I have a son. I'm around you guys a lot.
I've met some before.
I observe you.
Because God forbid, me, Perloff, Pete, and Kaplan are your examples of mandom.
You're a pretty good slice of
There's not a tough. No, listen. There's zero
chromosome.
survival skills. We can't fix anything. We don't know how to dress. We are certainly not cool. We are a bad sample size.
You can brawl.
Remember when Brandon Tierney called you dainty a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, and he was right.
No, come on.
Dainty?
Yeah,
I don't see that from you. You have a beard. You're not dainty.
Well, again, this came from a guy who definitely stuffs people in lockers in high school. So
yeah, BT is definitely that bully in school who had it coming to him. But here's what I learned about you guys, and I learned this a little from my husband. My husband's an engineer, so he's really good at. He's very handy. He's good at fixing things. He's good at putting things together. It's part of the reason why I married him. If he has to fix something, though, he has to go to the hardware store no fewer than 3 times. It's like, it's never just a one and done. It's like, I've got to fix the water filter. And it's like, all right. And then it's like, I got to go back. And then I got to go back again. And I'm wondering if this is a guy thing because he's good at this. And he has to, it's like, if he has a project, he's back and forth like a shuttle to the hardware store.
Yeah, I'm not handy, so I can't speak specifically to this, but I know that other real men do this thing.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is like, we're just not good at like thinking into the future. Like, we're on page 1 of the instruction book. Crap, I need this. I don't look at pages 2 through 5 to see if anything else coming down the road and require a trip.
The instruction book is labeled, crap, I need this.
It's, you don't have that. Get your backside to the hardware store.
Right.
Anyway, I learned a lot about men. Yeah.
That's a good point. Bogusch is right that. Although I will say, I try in terms of like other stuff, grocery store, I will try to overcompensate. I will try to get as much stuff as I need a month into the future so that I don't have to go back because I hate having to go to the grocery store.
I'll take a day to do it too.
Wait, hold on. You can't buy groceries for a month.
Well, yeah, well, like certain products, like shampoo and conditioner
and bagel
and
bites
stuff.
last a long time. You're good.
What'd you say?
Oh, the frozen stuff. I forgot. Pat's a bachelor. Yeah.
What doesn't
he said
work?
bagel bites.
You can buy a bunch of those.
I can cook a little bit.
No, but you're right. I mean, the paper towels, the toilet paper.
Yes, I will. We are stocked up for like 3. I got.
You're a hoarder.
I got 2 packs of 30 Keurig pods, and then I also got 3 packs of ground coffee. I spent like $60 on coffee yesterday, but I know I'm good till like November.
No wonder Pat's
27.
passing everyone on the highway. He's not in a car. It's like, just chill on the coffee, man. You don't have to drink it all at once. Yeah, guys in the grocery store, I don't know that many men that really enjoy it. My husband will do it, kind of taking one for the team. He goes with a list.
Yeah.
It's very like by the book.
Well, here's another lesson. I loved it.
You did like it. I like it too.
Yeah.
But I'm not a man.
Well, I think for you guys, it provides an escape from your family.
Speak for yourself.
Well,
I like my family.
A lot of
like
times you
my
got to
wife.
take your kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then they're just like asking for, well, can I get a cookie and a treat? And
yeah,
maybe that's just me.
No, you gotta go grocery shopping by yourself.
It is nice.
Yeah, I'll go for a day.
EJ, you're there when they open at 6. You're there when they close at 9.
Pete's trip to the spa.
You might have a facial in the
very important.
vegetable aisles.
It's very important.
It's true. EJ, you're
to be there for 12 hours?
Yes. You have to get all the necessary things that you need for the week.
Do you go up down every aisle?
Yes, I do.
How many times?
I'm not there the whole day.
I know.
I'm being sarcastic.
It's like your bill is $1,100.
I'll make a day of it.
I've been shopping for 6 hours.
Look, it's $1,100 if I go there for 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. This day and age, everything's so expensive. So you're like, I'll take one of everything. EJ, you're laid up. You can't shop right now. Your knee's all ripped up.
I know. And it's probably a good thing because if I go to the grocery store, I get overwhelmed. Because I'm someone, I was one of 4 boys. So my mom took us everywhere on the weekends, including always grocery shopping. So when I go to a grocery store, the kid in me sees all the Oreos, the vanilla wafers, all the stuff. And I'm like, I should buy it all. I have my own money.
Gushers.
It's not a lot of money. It's not a lot of money, but it's enough to buy.
Yeah, you're an adult
Oreos,
now. You can do whatever
and
you
Doritos
want.
as I want. But then, like, I have a responsibility to like my fiance and to my dog, and then I end up not buying much. I end up leaving with very little because I'm scared. But the trip is so enticing because I see my childhood. I see all the things that I would beg my mom to buy me, and she would reluctantly buy after me complaining for 10, 15 minutes in an aisle. Like, and now all that pressure's on me. When I was able to push that on my mom, it was easy. Now, as an adult, it's hard.
Yeah, welcome to being an adult. You can't eat, EL fudge cookies all day long. Or you could. I mean, who's there to stop you?
I eat them.
Yeah, they're good. They're so good. How do they stay that good consistency? Anyway.
Got to put them in the fridge.
Yeah.
You guys are men. You claim you're not. You're like, oh, I'm not handy. I'm not a man. You guys are men.
You know what
I never mistake you for women.
You know what bothers me, Maggie, though, is I feel like, and I don't know how you guys feel, I feel like I get judged when I'm a single man in the grocery store for too long. Like, I feel like the staff, some people that are still there. Oh, yeah, the looks of
staff.
They just want to get out of there. They don't care.
Oh, no, the looks I get when I'm in a certain aisle, or I double back on an aisle because I'm looking for a certain thing, is always a thing for me. And I'm like, you know what? All right, guy. Yes, I'm not the most experienced grocery shopper, but I leave me alone.
EJ, I feel like we need to hook you up with somebody. We need a couch or something. You really think the staff is judging how long it takes you?
And other people. I do feel that way.
Who, the nonas and the nanas? Like, who cares?
I'm sorry. I feel like, and look, it probably is in my neighborhood. Most of the people here are seniors and older folks most of the time when I'm shopping. But yeah, I do. Because again, I end up not leaving with a lot because I'm so overwhelmed by everything.
Yeah, you got to talk this out with somebody. Or go to Pete's non-judgmental supermarket where you can be there for 6 hours and no one cares.
They don't care what you do in the supermarket. They're worried about the next manager that's going to come in there and put them on 50 hours a week for $7 an hour. That's what
they work here?
Yeah.
Right.
I disagree with EJ's standpoint as a single guy worried about being there too long. I'm looking for action in the grocery store, baby.
My husband met my brother met his wife at a grocery store. My brother met his wife at a grocery store.
Bikini aisle.
I'm looking for organic.
Honestly, it's a great place for a single guy.
Yeah, the dating apps suck. And yesterday, Maggie, you'd be proud of me, or at least I hope you would be.
Yeah.
I
helped an old lady across the street.
No,
that asked for her number.
Prospective conversation. I wasn't really looking for it, but it was. I saw a girl walk down the aisle, which I thought was close to my age. I'm looking for skin toner because I have oily skin.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, let me work it here. So I was like, hey, do you know a good moisturizer?
Yeah, it's a good opener.
Right.
I like it. Can I just tell you from the women's point of view where we're coming from with that? So grocery store, always a good place to be on the lookout. But women will sometimes go to, we talk about hardware stores, like Home Depot or Lowe's.
To look for a man.
Yeah. So maybe, I know it may be counterintuitive, but maybe go to Lowe's or Home Depot. Because that's where the women are going.
I've seen that show.
Improvement.
I do have an apartment, though, so I don't need to be spending a ton of time in Home Depot.
Right. You don't need lumber, new pipes.
I got plenty of
them. That
pipes.
show.
Yeah.
All right. Do you know where the wood section? I get it. I really walked into that one, didn't I? I didn't know what you were going with at first. Shoot. No, I think moisturizer maybe I wouldn't go with. The skin toner might be good.
Okay. Or the cleanser.
Cleansers. You can ask a woman that. How did it go? Did you end up having a conversation with this woman?
For 3 or 4 minutes.
Not
but
bad.
at that point, I was there for an hour and I wanted to leave.
Right.
So.
All your stuff's melting.
Yeah.
Oil dripping off your face.
Not to be shallow, but...
you know what I would do, actually, if I were you? Not to be shallow. I'd go back today. Have you ever heard of this thing like misconnections or something? I don't know if she would do this, but you might want to go a little bit. If you actually want to see this woman again, you might want to go a little more frequently. Just stop, same time, and just maybe cruise. You don't have to go shopping each time.
I wasn't necessarily interested in a second meeting.
Oh, never mind. Right,
but if it was somebody I was, go back the next day?
I don't know. Maybe.
Like a serial killer returning to the crime? Right.
Only Pat would make that connection. No, American Psycho, not like a serial killer returning to the crime. Just like a guy who might want to see if she's back again.
Hit the B is square.
Hey, It's Wednesday. Time for the great debate.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
If you're looking for an update on whether or not Brandon Aiyuk is still a member of the 49ers, the answer is yes. But for how long, we're not sure. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray. Andrew Bogusch is in for Andrew Perloff. The latest news is that the Patriots are now out of the negotiations or the trade talks with the 49ers. The Steelers are back in. But the interesting thing about the 49ers and Patriots deal is it fell apart not because they couldn't agree on trade compensation. According to reports, there was a framework and a huge return coming to the 49ers for Brandon Aiyuk. It's Aiyuk who doesn't want to go to New England, reportedly, and would not be available to communicate with the team. So the Patriots got spooked. They didn't feel the vibe that they were going to be able to get something done, and now they have pulled out of trade negotiations. Bogusch, this is awful for the 49ers. If they just ruined a chance to get the best package back from the 49ers because Aiyuk didn't want to go there.
Yeah, I'd also say it's awful for me because I was the guy who sat here yesterday and said that the reason why the Browns and Patriots have this framework in place is because those are places that Brandon Aiyuk is okay to go to, and that's why the Niners got deals done with them. And apparently that's not the case, that they are negotiating and then going to him and saying, how about this team, as opposed to, okay, how about these are the 3 or 4 teams you like? Okay, fine, we'll go talk to them. So not surprisingly, I know nothing from clearly across the country about what's going on with this situation.
No, but I mean, this is a failure of the 49ers, and there's a way they can save it. There's a kick, save, and a beauty option out there, which is most likely you coming back and just playing for the 49ers this year and them trying to win a Super Bowl. But the fact that we're on August 7th and the fact that you've had months and months and months and months to negotiate with him, haven't done it. The fact that you've had months and months and months and months to ask him, if we were going to trade you, where would you like to go? We've now granted your agents the ability to negotiate a contract on your behalf with a new team, and we're already back to square one where the 49ers are putting together a trade with another NFL team, and it's getting nixed at the last minute because Aiyuk is like, nah, I don't want to go to New England. And is this going to happen with Cleveland? Is this going to happen with Pittsburgh? Is he forcing his way to one team and one team only? We don't know. This thing's become a mess.
It's messy. But even like Nick Bosa yesterday talked about this situation and then his situation where he wanted a deal. He held out. He got his deal. He said, it was ugly. It was difficult, but there's no other place I'd want to be than here. So like, I still don't get the same feeling of animosity that you have about the situation, that they all hate each other, that bridges have been burned, that there is no going back at this. I still think it ends when going somewhere else. But I think like we could get to week 1 and everything is great. Okay. Everything is fine.
I'll allow space for that to exist. But this isn't an ideal offseason. I don't think anyone would say that because you also had the news yesterday that Christian McCaffrey tweaked a calf.
Yeah, that's a problem.
They kind of just sort of glossed it. It's like, oh, by the way, he tweaked a calf, and oh, by the way, you're not going to see him for the rest of the preseason. And you know what? That's fine. Christian McCaffrey didn't play a lot last preseason, and he had one of his best, years as a pro. That's fine, but there's always a concern with a calf, especially with a guy who with that position, that it could turn into some kind of Achilles, that it could linger throughout the season. And by the way, Trent Williams isn't there either. So if the front office and the coaching staff are kind of on a battling a lot of different fronts here. And will it end up mattering? I don't know. I think not having Aiyuk on the team definitely matters. That's the reason I'm the most into this story. If Aiyuk goes to New England, you're basically in football Siberia this year because they're not expected to win a lot of games. It might not be a big factor. If he's still on the 49ers, though, I feel very confident that they're going to have another really great season.
Okay, so but let's just assume for a second that they make the Browns trade that we talked about yesterday, that they somehow pull back Amari Cooper in a deal for Brandon Aiyuk.
Yeah.
are you, deducting one win from the projection for them in your mind? You're not taking them off the NFC West championship, right?
No, I'm not. But I would ask if that deal was there and if Aiyuk would actually accept a deal to Cleveland, that deal should be done. Because, getting Amari Cooper back is great. That's a viable option, and that's someone who can help you win. Sure, I'd love it. Why is that deal not done? Like, why are we farting around here with the New England Patriots or with whatever if that's actually a possibility? So I'm not sure how real that Cooper thing is. We'll see. 855-212-4227. It is Wednesday. Wednesdays, we wear pink. No, Wednesdays, it's the Great Debate.
The Great Debate Series.
Okay, whole crew here for this great debate, and we like to do this inspired by the news. And what's one of the biggest stories in the news right now? Chicago White Sox futility. 21 losses in a row. Snapped it last night. The great debate today, who's the most lovable loser in all of sports? Sports history, current. It could be a team. It can be a person. It can't just be a franchise. We have to go a little more specific than that. But we ask you, who's the most lovable loser in all of sports history? Andrew Bogusch in for Andrew Perloff. You get the honors, sir.
Oh, I appreciate that very much. I'll point out that I wore this shirt on purpose, my Wrigley Field t-shirt from Wrigley Field, because if you just search sports lovable losers, 9 of the first 10 Google hits are about the Chicago Cubs.
That's true.
Pre-World Series. So they are no longer lovable losers, but still there was one person in particular in the history of them losing that has stood out. He is one of the most beloved players in baseball history and somehow never played in a postseason game because the Cubs sucked that much for so long.
Ever get tired of being called Mr. Cub?
No, I don't, Johnny. I really feel honored to be called Mr. Cub for a lot of reasons. I mean, the Cubs been in the league for over 100 years, had a lot of great players, and Jimmy Enright was a writer for Chicago's American, titled me with Mr. Cub. And
is that who did it?
Yes, he did.
What year?
That was in 1968.
We all miss and love Johnny Bench's All-American Sports Club. That's what that was from.
That's cool.
Ernie Banks, 512 home runs, 2,500 career games, 0 in the postseason. Unfortunately for him, nobody lost like him, but also everybody loves Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks.
We're doing the lovable losers for our great debate today. Who is sports' most lovable loser? My selection is sort of in your vein, Bogusch, but I think mine's better because it's a great debate.
Is it Jim Kelly? Is it Thurman Thomas? Is it Darryl Talley? Which Bill is it, Maggie?
It's Cornelius Bennett. No, I did not go down the Bills route for this. The most lovable loser, in my opinion, in sports history is Archie Manning. Archie Manning, who had a career record as a quarterback of 35, 101, and 3. The teams he played on were so atrocious. This is what led to people dropping the S from Saints and just calling them the Aints. Archie Manning was a great quarterback whose best finish in his 14 years as a pro was 8-8, and then the next year they went 1-15. I mean, it was the amount of losing that he has done. But you know what? Why we love him? He wanted to stick with his team.
I don't like losing. A lot of people tell me, why don't you try to leave New Orleans and go somewhere else. I've kind of been on the sour side of it here and gone through it. I feel like it would be very rewarding and meaningful if I could be on a winner here, and that's why I want to stick it out. I want to stay here.
That's why we love him. We love Archie Manning, and
he was shoot geese after that clip.
He was on teams 3-5-2, 2-11-1, 5-8, 3-8, 2-11. He was getting hurt. He was getting banged up. Never made the playoffs. Never even sniffed the playoffs. And he is the first father of football. because of Peyton and Eli, and everyone respects Archie Manning, even though he had statistically just so much losing happen with the Saints, and then he played for a couple other teams too. Archie Manning, the most lovable loser in sports. Dexter Henry, you're up next, sir.
All right. I think when you're a lovable loser, bring up some good things. Chicago Cubs, Ernie Banks, Archie Manning, think that's all good. But sometimes with some teams, you're the little brother, and that hurts you. Unless you're the Clippers and nobody loves you at all because nobody cares. But I had to go with a specific team who has the little brother complex, and that is the New York Mets. I'm going with specifically the 2006 New York Mets.
Good
now,
times.
Mets fans will know great times and a great finish. All-time great finish. And the reason I have them so high is this season sparked disaster that came after it. This was a fantastic season for the New York Mets, at least to start. 97-65, finished first in the NL East. But how did things end? They lose in the NL Championship Series 4-3 to the St. Louis Cardinals with no more. What happened, AB? You know this. Carlos Beltran does not swing the bat, keeps it on his shoulder. The team loses, and then after that, the next 2 years, they falter and blow division leads to the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yep.
That was the beginning of nothing, really. And it was so close. And I remember watching this and thinking that they were going to win the NLCS after that Endy Chavez catch. But with the New York Mets, it was not meant to be.
Good one.
I have to play this cut.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Dexter. Great to see you.
I
Where's
know.
Manny?
Wow.
2 quick strikes on Carlos Beltran with the bases loaded, 2 out. The Mets down by 2. Breaking ball struck him out, and the Cardinals have won the pennant. As the rookie closer strikes out Beltran looking with the bases loaded, and the Cardinals celebrate before their trip to Detroit.
Get lost.
Kind of gone with the Yachty home run. Okay, so we're doing great debate today. Lovable losers. Bogusch went with Ernie Banks. I went with Archie Manning. Dexter's going with the 2006 New York Mets. Let's go to Pete Bellotti.
Hi, I'm going to go with a team that I hate, the New England Patriots. They stink. I hate everything about them. And the fact that they went to a Super Bowl. the fact that
I was Bruce Bochy on the Patriots. I'm confused.
Yes.
1985 Patriots went to the Super Bowl, and of course they got their doors blown out. Here is Craig James in the AFC Championship.
I remember getting on the airplane flying back, and I remember saying to Raymond Berry, hey, we need to remind everybody, we're not finished. We got another game to play. And unfortunately, it took 2 weeks to play that game. But we were on such a high after the Orange Bowl victory and the Dolphins victory and all those things, we could never come back down to earth and get focused back in on another game.
Super Bowl 20 proved to be a mismatch as the Chicago Bears provided a crushing end to New England's season.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what happened. 46-10. They didn't score a touchdown till the fourth quarter in garbage time, and they absolutely got annihilated by the Chicago Bears, the Super Bowl Shuffle Bears, and it was great to see the Patriots lovably lose to the Bears. So that's my team.
It's funny. We're doing lovable losers. This is still a team that Pete hates.
Right.
Calling them lovable losers, I do get it. I mean,
I loved watching them lose. That's
this is
the
a
whole
different
premise.
spirit of it, but I agree, and that was very funny. Like, not just to lose, but to lose to like one of the all-time great teams that we're still talking about 40 years later is something.
It took them 2 weeks to play the game, but it took them 3 weeks to get on the field.
Very good. Let's keep it moving. Today
Get
is
lost, Patriots.
This is sports' new Iron Man streak. You doing this segment in your own way. Sometimes it's wrong. Sometimes it's unique. This wasn't teams I love to watch lose. That's not what the assignment was.
That's how I interpreted it.
Okay, let's keep going. We're doing sports lovable losers. Let's go, EJ. We'll finish out with Pat.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to go with a team that has been much forgotten because they are no longer in the place they were when they were the lovable losers. I'm going with the mid-90s Vancouver Grizzlies, 95, 96, 97 time. This is a team that won its first 2 games and then lost 18 games in a row.
Oh, my God.
We're coming after the first 2 games of their entire franchise. Who doesn't love the teal uniformed, big country Reeves? they were a lovable team, but unfortunately, they just, as Greg Anthony said, weren't that good.
I love Vancouver. I love the people. And we were just really bad.
I think they lost all their energy yelling for the hockey teams. And you kind of could feel it as you're playing in Vancouver. You just,
what?
They're like, they're witnessing an experiment or something.
Oh my gosh, blaming hockey. Sounds like Perloff would do.
That was George Karl, coaching the Sonics, who was coaching the Sonics at that time, calling them a experiment. That's kind of what it felt like watching Vancouver Grizzly basketball. Because you had like legends like Byron Scott playing with like Blue Edwards, Nick Greg Anthony's on the team, and then you got Big Crunchy Reeves, and then you got Sharif Abdul-Rahim, who's this star player, but is on such a disastrous team that nobody knows who he is. Nobody knows how good he is.
Wasn't White Chocolate on that team? Was Jason Williams on that team?
I think he might have went there when they were in Memphis. But Mike Bibby did play for them. Mike Bibby has a whole story about how he went to Vancouver telling them, please don't draft me at number 2. I do not want to go there. Of course, they drafted him at number 2. And he went there.
You got to call their bluff.
2 really rough years there. So I'm going to the Vancouver Grizzlies. It's a shame that Vancouver doesn't have a basketball team because the city is cool. Everything about it was great. The mascot was great. Jerseys are great. Colors are great. Just the team was just so bad. But I love that era of basketball, so I'm going with the Vancouver Grizzlies.
We are on in Vancouver, Canada, and Vancouver, Washington. We're on in both, so people will appreciate that. Today's great debate, the greatest and biggest lovable loser in the history of sports. Pablo, you get the final word here.
Yeah, Bogusch mentioned the Cubs. He went with Ernie Banks. I'm going to just go ahead and say the Cubs specifically the last year before they finally won a World Series. So let's go 2015 Cubs because it was once again after years of 61-win seasons, just perennial losers. And this is now, again, 1908, the last championship. It's 107 years. You have the curse of the Billy Goat. You have Steve Bartman getting in the way of Moises Alou. Everything that could go wrong would go wrong for the Cubbies. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this championship window opens with Chris Bryant, with Anthony Rizzo, Wilson Contreras. They win 97 games in 2015. They get to the NLCS only to get swept by the Mets.
Yep.
And then they would win the World Series the next year. And then since then, the Cubs have basically stunk once again. A championship window that was supposed to be open for half a decade or so, basically, fizzled out within the next 2 years of winning the World Series. They have not won 85 games since 2018. So I would say even though they won the World Series and broke the streak, the Cubbies are still probably sports' greatest lovable losers.
Yeah.
And it will probably be a long time before they ever win another championship. So you guys played some clips. I would just say in honor of the Cubbies, why don't we go ahead and do a little Go Cubs Go.
Go Cubs go! Go Cubs go! Hey Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win.
Probably the best sports victory song that exists.
That'll be another great debate, actually. Thank you for the material. We'll do that next week. The best, best song.
EJ, write that down.
Yeah, EJ, take a note, and Pat, we'll see you next Wednesday. Okay, so there you have it. Our great debate today, the most lovable loser in sports. Bogusch went with Ernie Banks. I went with Archie Manning. Dexter went with the 2006 New York Mets. Pete went with the 85 Patriots, losers to the Bears, and Pat went with the 2015 Cubs. You'll notice a couple absences here. We didn't have. No one has any Browns teams, no Lions teams. Those were winless teams. We have no college teams on here, which we could do.
The 2015 Cubs, I love watching them lose too.
God, you're so vindictive.
I'm surprised Pete didn't go wrestling on this one. He
No.
could have gone with some lovable losers in the squared circle.
Yeah, by the way, Pete, you went with the 2015 Cubs. You swept them, and then you didn't even get a World Series out of it.
Yeah,
That's right. That's why we're complete losers.
Because your manager was too worried about fulfilling a Matt Harvey prophecy and then watching him get shelled in the last game.
I thought about just doing Matt Harvey as a lovable loser,
Oof.
just him specifically.
That'd be a good one.
People did like him, The Dark Knight, but again, this is a little skewed towards our own fandom. I'm seeing in the chat, Big Bad John says the Buddy Ryan Eagles are his picks with some lovable losers. If Perloff was here, I'm sure that would have been his. 855-212-4227. Lovable losers. Who's your pick? It's Maggie and Perloff. Bogusch is in for Perloff today.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Soundtrack from Revenge of the Nerds or something? Oh, sorry, this is the shuffle.
We're so bad, we know we're good. Blowing your
We're so bad we know we're good.
Good line.
Well, they call me sweetness, and I like to dance.
We will get to a little updated version of the Bears. They're on Hard Knocks. Episode 1 dropped last night, and I'm in. I'm hooked.
Yeah, I know why you're hooked. Because the summer of the bulge continues. 2 Olympians, and now this dude singing a song in his underwear last night with an eagle beak on his... You know what?
That was stunning. Offensive lineman who, spoiler alert, ends up getting hurt at the end of the episode, which is like, did you tempt fate here? Canadian guy who, to ingratiate himself to the locker room, sings Proud to be an American?
Yes.
And decides to do it in a bald eagle Speedo.
Hallelujah.
Yep.
And the Eagles' head is right where it's supposed to be.
Right there. And Caleb Williams and all the quarterbacks are right in the front row. And that guy just did tearaway pants to reveal a bald eagle Speedo as offensive lineman. Yeah, exactly.
The eyes are following me.
The reason why we were...
You're all in on the summer of the bulge, though, Maggie?
Churro stick?
How do I answer that?
The show is...
Define all in.
Right.
Is this like a Jerry Jones all in or... more of a 49ers thing?
Yeah, my girth is rather large.
Oh.
Peter's here, by the way. Sitting in the newsroom right now.
Not working, just hanging out.
Just hoping.
Looking for free tickets.
Hoping and praying someone brings them on. No. We love you, Pete.
Something will shake loose.
We do this thing around here on Wednesdays called The Great Debate. I'm glossing over that one. And today we're doing who is sports' most lovable loser off of the Chicago White Sox. Not exactly lovable. It's sort of inspired by them, losing 21 games in a row. I'll quickly just go around the horn because we already laid this out for everybody. Bogish picked Ernie Banks, Mr. Cub. I have Archie Manning. Dexter took the 2006 New York Mets. Pete took the 1985 New England Patriots, who lost to those Bears, which is why he was playing the Super Bowl Shuffle.
Loved them losing.
Pat, a little different interpretation. Pat went with the 2015 Cubs, and EJ went with the Vancouver Grizzlies. Did you have a specific year, EJ?
Let's go 96.
96.
Let's go 96.
Vancouver Grizzlies, who were loved but did not hang around Vancouver for very long. Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4227. Bergie is in Florida, has got a suggestion. Who's the most lovable loser in sports?
Yeah, great topic. Well, this guy's the quintessential lovable loser. He made a career of it, actually, off the field afterwards, after he failed on the field. Bob Uecker. And I have a great quote from him if you'd like to hear it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he said the biggest thrill you can get is your son taking after you. He said, I went to my son's Little League game. He struck out 3 times, made an error, and lost the game.
that might be the winner.
It's so good. Thank you for that. And I love the submission because I was just saying to Bogish when we saw he wanted to talk about Bob Uecker. Imagine you are in a movie with Wesley Snipes, Tom Berenger, and Charlie Sheen, and you become like the most memorable character.
Yeah.
And he and his real life, but then what Bob Uecker did to the movie Major League is amazing.
I'm so mad that I did not think of this.
Yeah.
This is the perfect answer. This is the perfect answer. If there is a prize, Bergie gets it.
All right. We got the Maggie and Perloff t-shirts. We're still printing them. Larry's in Youngstown, Ohio. Larry, who's sports' most lovable loser?
I got a couple teams from our area, the Northeast Ohio area. You inspired me to think that when you said no Lions, no Browns. Well, the Lions were an interesting team in the area. They were the best team in football in the 50s.
Yep.
They won like 3-4 titles. But then from the 60s on, now we know that perennially they're just one of the biggest losers as far as a team. Last year we heard about that with the playoffs. But the other team is the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 60s were horrible in this area. They had a guy named Big Daddy Lipscomb was their main, defensive lineman.
Oh my God.
And they were terrible. And what happened in the 70s? They became, they wiped out the league,
Yeah.
So both of these teams, I mean, they were good one decade and then terrible the next, or vice versa. Hey, I got an idea for a basketball league with about Caitlin Clark. You want to hear it or no?
Sure. Can you make it quick?
Yeah, I reckon make it quick. I mean, one of the guys there, one of your guys really likes Caitlin. Is that right? I mean, he's a big fan. I am too. I never watched WNBA at all, but with her, I don't want to miss a game. She's tremendous. But the thing with the other people, the other players bullying her, you know what I thought? Like, what if Magic and LeBron and Michael got together and formed a new women's league, and just kind of left those women out. You know what I mean? And build it around Caitlin. I know it's a kind of an off the wall idea, but
who would she play? Who would she play against?
You have to form a new league. Get those guys to put their cachet. I mean, they all seem to be on her side.
Huh.
Those guys are the most powerful guys in the NBA, for instance, and they have the money. I don't know. Interesting thought.
Larry, we're going to put a pin in that one. Thank you for the call. We'll go back to the lovable losers part of it. I do not associate the Steelers at all with losing, right? They're one of the marquee franchises you associate with winning. But yes, in the 1960s, there were some very lean years. Detroit Lions, for sure. I mean, they're changing that moniker now. But there's a reason why I think a lot of people can get on board with what the Lions are doing, because it's fun to watch them win, And I don't think of Barry Sanders as a lovable loser, even though he might make this list because his teams were never good, but at least he did make the playoffs. Bogish, is going with Ernie Banks. I went with Archie Manning. I mean, these two guys were great, and they were so far from the playoffs. Like, it wasn't
even a thought.
It wasn't even a thought for a lot of,
so
at
close.
least for Archie Manning. I mean, you go 8-8, and the next year you go 1-15.
Eight's too many.
This is rough. As far as the league, I don't know about that one with Larry. I'm not sure how that would really work. Let's go continue. We'll get a couple more here before Dexter's update. Charles is in Maine. Charles, how you doing this fine morning?
Good morning. I feel like my thunder has been stolen now. I was calling to say the Cleveland Indians generally is a franchise, because what other franchise has ever had a movie made about how unlikely it would be that they'd ever win a championship?
We don't even know in the movie if they actually win the title. Remember, they just win the pennant.
No, and most of the scenes were actually filmed in Milwaukee, from what I recall. But I had a couple runners-up. And first of all, that guy calling about the Lions and the Steelers, how could you overlook the fact that the Browns went 0-16 and then had a parade to celebrate that? And I was going to also say the 62 Mets with Stengel and how can't nobody here play this game.
Great book.
And Marvelous Marv Throneberry. And also, I'm inspired by your choice of Archie Manning. My brother-in-law made a movie about a kind of comedy horror movie called Baghead, which starred Greta Gerwig back in the 2007-2008 range, and was inspired by his childhood in New Orleans, watching fans sit there with paper bags over his head.
Whoa!
So
that's kind of cool. That's a random one.
I'm familiar with this genre called mumblecore, but my brother-in-law is kind of one of the people who's known in that genre. He made this movie called Baghead, and before Greta Gerwig was Capital Gerwig, she started that movie. Look it up sometime.
All right,
anyway,
Charles. Now I'm on a IMDb page for Greta Gerwig. Thank you for the submission. Where is this movie? Baghead. Here it is. 2008. Greta Gerwig, who obviously directed Barbie. Here she is. 4 actors go to a cabin in the woods for the weekend to write a movie script. They talk about a relationship movie or a paper bag over their head. It starts with an anonymous baghead and slowly escalates. The Duplass brothers, Mark and Jay.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's...
Can't wait to see that.
Do you think he's related to one of the Duplasses?
And that's what he said, right? My brother-in-law?
There's another guy, John E. Bryant. Maybe that's who it is. 3 writers on this movie. Baghead.
I guess he would have said brothers-in-law, right? Because if he was related to one, he would be connected to both.
Both, that's true. He did say brother-in-law. Anyone know what he was talking about? Mumblecore?
No clue.
Don't know about that one.
Nope.
Quickly before we get to Dexter, Adam in Vancouver. Adam, the question today, who's the most lovable loser in all of sports?
Well, first off, I want to shout out to EJ for throwing out the Vancouver Grizzlies. That was a dark time in the city of Vancouver. But I was going to say the Oakland A's in general, but I want to throw out the Oakland A's fans and what they're having to deal with.
Yeah. You know what, Adam, you're right. And the fans have just been put through the ringer. And thank you for the call. with what's going on with the A's. I know Damon Amendolara, who used to be in the seat for a long time. Ever heard of him? Has taken up for the A's fans and for their cause. There's a lot of fans, though, you could put in that boat. I feel bad for the St. Louis fans who had the Rams leave. You know, you feel bad for the Colts fans, Browns fans, anyone who had their team up and just skedaddle.
I feel bad for Mets fans today because of Dexter reminding us of 2006.
Thanks, Dexter.
I did
Losing
my
in
part.
Denver last night.
Did my part.
Good chat.
Quickly, let's get to some headlines. Hey, Dex.
All right. I'm going to do my part here. The Los Angeles Chargers safety Derwin James might have the chance to be the next two-way star in the NFL. James appeared on the GOAT Farm Show, and he revealed some things.
Hey, Harbaugh might have a package this year from telling y'all first.
Oh.
I'm serious, bro.
I want to see a Derwin James touchdown.
What if y'all see me on offense, bro?
Spencer James.
So if you didn't get that there, James said the new Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh is open to using him on offense during the 2024 season. Now we know the Chargers, they lost their top two wide receivers in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams this offseason, so they could be looking for a spark on that side of the ball. But is using James on offense a smart move for the Chargers here?
Can Derwin James get through a season on defense before we start talking about using him on offense? Like, let's get this guy healthy through a full season on the defense.
So that was my first thought too, and I guess in due respect to Derwin, he's actually played most of the last 3 seasons, so maybe he's been healthier than we remember. However, he still seems to be hurt way too much. So let's just be careful. Just make tackles.
Well, there's another part of this, too, which is, and listen, I know when the GOAT podcast comes for you, you got to spill your guts, but maybe you keep some of these secrets a little closer to the vest.
There's
like,
also
hey,
that.
we got a trick play. It's called Spoonie Right 580 Red Go. And if you hear that, guys, that means I'm getting open in the flat. Like, hey, a little discretion.
Just keep it quiet.
Yeah.
Just keep it quiet. All right. History was made today at the Olympic Games. A first ever gold medal was handed out. And guys, it wasn't for running. It was not for jogging, but it was for mixed marathon race walking. That's right. Spain's 2-time world champions Alvaro Martin and Maria Perez, they took the first ever gold medal in the mixed marathon race walk relay by nearly a minute at the Paris Games on Wednesday as the event made its Olympic debut. Now, there's been a lot of new sports here in the Olympics. This is a new race walking's been there before, but this is a new version of it.
Come on.
I hear the disdain. Hold on.
That's a sport now?
It's a sport.
Power walking?
Let's explain it to the people. So what is mixed marathon race walk relay? Okay, so the relay involves 2 athletes, 1 man, 1 woman. Each athlete has to complete 2 legs each, alternating in this order. Man goes first and the woman 11.45
Sorry, when you
kilometers.
said 2 legs each, at first I was like,
Right, left,
wait,
right,
like
right.
they should be on
2
all
legs.
4s? Like, I didn't sorry, two separate
Two separate legs of the race, right?
Yeah.
So the male will go 11.45 kilometers and the female 10 kilometers, male 10 kilometers and female 10.745 kilometers. So here's the thing. There's been talk about keeping race walking in the Olympics because there's been concern that the discipline is losing popularity and could be phased out. So I got 2 questions here for everybody. Should race walking be an Olympic sport? AB says yes already.
No. Sorry. Rang my buzzer too quick.
And does anybody here think that they could race walk for a mile right now? If you had to get up and go, race walk for a mile, can you do it?
I think we should all race each other out in the newsroom in the break. Let's settle this Infinity Sportsnet style.
I'm down.
Although knowing us, someone will tear up some part of their lower body. Just looked at EJ. I was like, maybe that's a bad idea.
Thanks, Maggie.
I'm sorry. Here's the thing. I equate you said it's the sport's kind of declining in popularity.
Yes.
I think that's also because a lot of malls are closing in this world, in this country. And where do you race walk? Where do you even train for that kind of thing? Got to be at your local mall. Where the people who go around the perimeter, like who aren't there to shop, they're just there to walk.
Well, in the EJ's case, when healthy, it's the supermarket because he doesn't want to see the people looking at him.
Yeah, right.
So it would be the
Speed up
supermarket.
the aisles, down the aisle.
I just can't get over how this is an Olympic sport. What are we doing? We threw breakdancing in. Okay, that's one thing. You know, no offense to anybody that's a sailor. Like, sailing's an Olympic sport? Hey, what are you in the Olympic
You're
Village
looking
for?
at one.
Or the Olympic Village. Hey, I'm a sailor, man. Yeah, sick. Now, you know what? I
Pat,
could
it's
be
like
an
sex to
Olympian.
these people. Stop.
I could be an Olympian. Power walking. I could power walk 26 miles. Are you kidding me?
You cannot.
Yes, I can.
26
It's
miles?
walking.
You cannot power walk 26 miles.
No, you can walk
Good
26
podcaster.
miles, but power walk like that, no brakes.
Faster than everybody else?
It's not running. It's
You
not
know-
running. I can power. Yeah, give me a good podcast or a playlist. I can power walk
Do you
like
realize-
I'm Richard Simmons for 3 hours. I can do it.
Can we, I don't know. I couldn't do this math in my head if I tried. Pat, you're good at math. How long would it even take you to walk 26 miles? What? Or you probably have some
Well,
times
the winning
there, Dex.
time I think was 2 hours and 50 minutes.
That is correct.
That's freaking fast, man.
Okay, and what
Yeah.
a normal, like a good like marathon running time is like 2 hours, right? 2 hours.
Just over.
If you're like, champion. Yeah.
Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Well, what did Tiki run his marathon in?
Not
Because he
2
ran it pretty
hours.
damn
2
slow.
hours.
I know. You think you're faster than Tiki.
Yes, I do.
Who's like the most finest tuned athlete you know.
20 years ago he was.
Wait, you think you're faster
Wow.
than Tiki
Wow.
I could
Barber?
beat him in a 40-yard dash.
No chance.
Oh, man. Here we go.
Pat Boyle. You think you're faster than
man.
Tiki Barber?
What is like I'm some big lard? What is that?
No,
Pat
he's
Boyle.
Tiki Barber. He runs for fun now.
I'm Pat Boyle.
He's in better shape now than as an
Good
NFL
comeback.
running back.
He might be in better like physical strength shape.
Running shape. He's
No,
a runner now.
He runs marathons and he ran a marathon slow as hell.
Because he's doing it for charity,
Right.
If you're talking about a dash, though, right? Like,
Yes.
Tiki Barber had such elite speed that the NFL called and was like, "We want you." Even if he's a bit older now, I'm not sure. Pat, did the NFL call for you?
Oh,
They did not.
It's in a major college
But
offer
let's
you
say-
free tuition for
Maggie,
4 years.
let's say Tiki Barber at peak 40-yard dash 4.3, right? Let's say Tiki now 20 years later runs a 5 flat. I don't think that's too
That's probably
that's
maybe
fair.
Yeah.
If I run a 5.2 and I lose, should Tiki really be that excited?
You know
about
what?
that?
I'm backing away. I'm backing
well
away.
played, Pat. Well
That
played.
clip is up to 2.5 million views, and
Well
I'm
played.
getting landslided for my Noah Lyles take, so I'm just going to back away, Pat.
Has
Well
he shut
done.
up yet, by the way? Did he listen?
Game, set, match.
Has Noah been quiet yet?
Well, he's got the 200 final, I think, tonight or
Yeah.
tomorrow night.
So
I just want to say one more thing really,
Yeah.
about the, again, power walking is an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
You know how much ass I'm missing out on in the Olympic Village? Because I could be an Olympian power walker.
Yo, this is so
we
disrespectful.
got to
to
get
the
you a
power
girlfriend, man. You feel like you could be Don Juan of the Olympic Village if only you could make the team as a power
Be
walker.
getting something as a power walker.
I mean, they are. It's a.
I mean, did you see the girl from Paraguay, the swimmer, who gets kicked out of the Olympic Village for being too inappropriate?
Yeah, and do you think she has time for a race walker?
Who knows? But I'm in the village. All you got to do is get in the village, folks.
And then he's like, "Hey, do you know any cleansers?
I just gotta get in.
Can you give me the tip on a good cleanser?"
Just get me in the gates.
That's what Pat's pickup line is in the grocery store. Can you help me with a toner?
Who's that guy walking around with cleanser?
That
My
was a good
pores
line.
are large. Can you have anything that you can help me with?
Sell it?
There's a guy who lost the pole vault because his what was too big, and you think your race walking bronze is going to get you action?
I'll clean up the scraps for what he gets.
Also, I love that the woman was like allegedly kicked out of the village for wearing something inappropriate when what she competes in is a bathing suit. It's like, how much less could she have been wearing?
Right.
What else? Like, was it a clown suit? What is inappropriate? We're assuming it was skimpy and scantily clad because her Instagram is more of a thirst trap. Maybe she was wearing like some kind of Philly fanatic costume or something. It's just like, that doesn't
furry?
fit.
The furries who got kicked out.
Maybe she's just weird.
She's walking around like a Care Bear. You got to go.
Pat, we'll get you that Olympic Village. 2028, Las Vegas. I mean, LA.
Race walking.
We'll send Pat to Vegas.
His games
Send
are
the
in
Olympians
Vegas.
to LA. Penix looks really good. Yeah. We'll keep all the Olympians safe from Pat. Oh, what did we learn there? Nothing. Coming up, checking on the Cowboys. It's Maggie and Perloff. Bogusch is in for Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You know that music. Time for the Cowboy Quickie. Haven't checked in on the Cowboys in a couple days because we've been so sidetracked with the Brandon Aiyuk will they, won't they trade him But there is some fun stuff coming out of Cowboys camp. This comes from Micah Parsons, who was talking to the Fort Worth Star-Telegram saying, really, really feeling good in Mike Zimmer's new defense and setting the bar extremely high for himself. Here's the quote. If they don't chip, there'll be a 5-6 sack day every day. It's pretty much over. I'm going to tell you that right now. This is what it's going to keep looking. And it's what it's going to keep looking like. That's a quote from Micah Parsons. If they don't chip or double me, 5 to 6 sacks every single game. There's no possible way he can back that up, but are we going to get something close?
Yeah, what's the math on that? 105 sacks? I feel like that the number might be off.
Yeah.
But I think
his contract extension would be for $1 billion.
Yeah, infinity times infinity with infinity guaranteed. So the numbers might be a little much, but I think the idea is legit. Is he not the best individual defensive player in the game now with Aaron Donald gone?
I mean, Myles Garrett.
He's just phenomenal.
TJ Watt.
Okay, so he's in
right? He's in the conversation.
Sure. So he might be third out of those two guys, but he's going to ruin games. That's the bottom line. Is he's able to, on the short list of guys that can absolutely ruin a game on defense. And again, 5 sacks a week seems like a lot, but
tough,
but 2-ish sacks a game in theory is there, and that's not good news for anybody that has to play them.
That is your Cowboy Quickie for today. So Michael Parsons setting the bar very, very high for himself.
Pay him now, by the way. Don't mess that up.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys don't pay anybody.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, we've got nothing on that front. While the Aiyuk stuff is going on, and it looks like we may be getting closer and closer to a trade. Still no CeeDee Lamb. Still no deal for Parsons, although that seems like it's probably not going to happen right now. And then Dak Prescott's still in this sort of limbo. Don't know anything.
And every day that goes by makes me think it's more slightly possible that this is some weird Deion Shador waiting game.
You're in on this too. You, Big Dave in Kentucky.
Yeah, our friend Chris Carlin has thought the same thing on his national show. It's like a 2% thing, but I don't understand why nothing is done and why there's no movement, and they've gotten burned by the market in both situations. There should be a tiny bit more impetus to get something done, and because it's the Cowboys and they do things that don't make sense, self-sabotage, a weird kind of pseudo-tanking is an odd choice even for them.
Yeah.
But it just, of course Jerry would want Deion to be his coach and Shador to come with him.
Well, I don't think you're going to tank this year, because now you're going to have, if you do have 3 guys who you don't pay, well, Parsons is going to be motivated, but he's not going anywhere.
Right.
But you have Dak Prescott, Mike McCarthy, and CeeDee Lamb all in theory in contract years. The way we know sports to generally go, you're going to get the best out of all 3 of those guys. Coach is a little harder to tell, but you're going to get, in theory, the best out of those guys, which is going to hurt your draft positioning. And if everyone in the world, if you telegraph to everyone that you want Shador Sanders, whoever actually does have one of these top picks is just going to hold him hostage.
Yeah. And again, this is not a tanking in the terms of losing 2 games to get the number 1 pick or winning 2 games.
Yeah.
It's just we're going to punt on this after this season. We're not thinking past this year. And even if it goes well, we might have a new head coach and a new quarterback. It's a pipe dream, but it's because of them, it has to kind of, at least in my mind, stay alive for a little bit.
If they actually brought in Deion Sanders and Shador, if this sort of a theory actually came to fruition, I don't even know how Cowboy fans would react, because you obviously love Deion from the playing days, but you can't think your franchise is serious if you're doing that. I mean, no disrespect to Deion.
Think their franchise is serious already?
Amazing player, all-time Inner Circle Hall of Famer, but he has not exactly proven he can win at the highest level yet.
No.
I mean, coaches who actually won in college went to the NFL and completely faceplanted.
Cowboys lovable losers, by the way?
Not yet. That's our great debate for today. Who's the biggest lovable loser in sports? It's inspired by the Chicago White Sox losing 21 in a row. All right, coming up, a man who knows a lot about winning. That would be Phil Simms, the former Giants quarterback, legendary broadcaster. He will join us next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Will they trade Brandon Aiyuk day 1,000? It's a hostage situation here, but the fans are being held hostage. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Bogusch in for Andrew Perloff. And, we've got a little twist and turn to update the audience on if you're following this Brandon Aiyuk saga, which is apparently there was a deal in place with the New England Patriots. That's what we heard yesterday. Apparently the 49ers were going to get a haul back from the Patriots, Bogusch, so that would have been cool for them. But Aiyuk was not playing ball, no pun intended. He was not being cooperative. His agents and him were not able to be in communication or chose not to be in communication with the Patriots. This is all according to Adam Schefter. And the Patriots got spooked. They got a bad vibe, and they said, forget it, we're off the table now. And all that to say this, Brandon Aiyuk has got the power right now in this negotiation. It's his world. The 49ers can go out and put all these deals together, but ultimately, if Aiyuk doesn't say, yeah, and also I'll agree to a long-term contract, then there's no deal. And that's just what happened with the 49ers and the Patriots, and this whole thing fell apart. And now, are we back to square one? I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I still think we live in a world where the Niners can quickly change the control of leverage by saying you actually don't have a no-trade clause. I don't have to let you talk to other teams about a new deal. I'm just going to trade you somewhere now, or you want to play here. So he's having his fun, but they can re-grab things here almost whenever they want.
That's the latest of what's going on with Brandon Aiyuk and the 49ers. Things, developing in training camps all across the country, and particularly right here in our backyard in New York, where we've got not one, but two training camp scuffles. And I know our next guest was a witness to one of them, maybe both, and that is former Super Bowl MVP, two-time Super Bowl champion, the one and only Phil Simms, good enough to join us. Phil, good morning. How are you?
Oh, hey, Maggie. Hi, Andrew. I'm doing, well, as I always tell everybody, I'm doing average. So it's all, I'm not complaining.
We're all just one day at a time, aren't we, Phil?
Yes, that's it.
Wouldn't have it any other way. I believe you were there for the Daniel Jones training camp scuffle. Then we saw Malik Neighbors followed up the next day. These practices with the Detroit Lions have been chippy. What do you think the motivation is behind it?
Oh, well, the Giants, the situation they were in last year and how they played, their record, and all the question marks about the team puts them on edge. And I'm sure the coaches are, they're driving them towards that. But it is the Detroit Lions, and what I kind of gather from it, this is not unusual at all these, when two teams get together and they scrimmage like this. But last year down in Detroit, and just listening to a lot of people around the Giants, Detroit kind of pushed them around and was a little rough or whatever and won that kind of battle. And I think the Giants have to show them that, hey, they're a different team this year. And that's probably just one of the reasons why we saw some of those scuffles.
But Daniel Jones specifically, Phil, he clearly has some questions to answer this year, but is one of them how tough he is? Like, should he be the one throwing his weight around in a joint practice?
Hey, look, the stuff like that's emotional. It's the spur of the moment. You jump in there. So good for him. I'm sure his teammates loved it. And, Daniel Jones, like a lot of people or a lot of players on the Giants, they're trying to reestablish themselves and tell the team, the city, the writers, the fans, everybody that, it's going to be a different year for the New York Giants. So he's looked good in practice. They've kind of, in my eyes, rebuilt this football team. And I can't wait tomorrow night to talk about it. And the problem is, which I'm, of course, disappointed. I was hoping we see a lot of starters in the preseason game, but that's not going to happen for either team. It looks like they're going to hold out just about everybody. So,
and Phil, we're excited to have you back on a call. This is going to be awesome. Preseason games with the Giants.
So
I mean, what's it going to be like for you to be back in the booth?
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. I like Bob Papa, of course. I know him, Carl Banks, and, I think we're going to have a lot of fun, and we've really – we've been to a lot of practices and stuff like that, so I think we got a good handle on what the Giants have done, who they are, and, and that. And then, of course, we're going to do next week down in Houston against the Texans, and I'm sure then we'll see some starters in action, Daniel Jones, And, I can't wait for that either.
Phil Simms is joining us, of course, the Super Bowl MVP. And Phil, you, obviously are so connected with New York, but you were broadcasting games forever. You've been a broadcaster for a long time. I feel comfortable asking you about any quarterback in the NFL. And I'd love to know your thoughts on C.J. Stroud, because you mentioned it, you're going to be going down to Houston. I think everyone's penciling the Texans in for, Super Bowl, AFC Championship. The vibes are good. Everyone's very high on Stroud. Do you think there's any regression there, or are you someone who also believes in the Texans?
Yeah, I believe in him. I believe in C.J. Stroud. I mean, when he came out, I thought for sure he was the number one, quarterback of the group. And of course, I don't know anybody that can say, oh, I knew he would play like this. And it's really been terrific. I didn't realize he could move around as well as he did. I mean, I knew he could. I watched Ohio State every single weekend, it seemed like. And, of course, I studied him too. But I think what really caught me off guard is just the fact that his throwing and his power and down the field, short, accuracy, everything, it's so easy for him. And, Bill Cowher went down there last year for a day to kind of do an interview, I think, with DeMeco Ryans. And DeMeco Ryans told him after the first day of practice, if we voted for the captains in, it would have been C.J. Stroud. And I said, wow, that really says something about who he is, how his teammates looked at him, and the way he conducts himself, and everything that you want in a quarterback he showed last year. And, yes, I think they're going to be a really good team. Of course, Stephon Diggs is going to help them. But, like Will Anderson, just a guy. He was the third pick of the draft last year for the Houston Texans. And, as the year went along, he just got better and better. So I'm excited to go down there and see the Texans. And, of course, I'm going to be very excited to see the Giants with their new defensive players and the new offensive line and just see how it all works out.
Phil, when you look at Caleb Williams, do you see more C.J. Stroud or more like the usual rookie QB that has struggles in year one?
Well, listen, if he gets the opportunity, which all quarterbacks need, in other words, can they protect him enough? Can somebody get open? All those that he will deliver. I'm not second guessing that for one bit. When I watched him this offseason, he was probably the first guy I looked at of all the players in the draft. And I got done and I went, well, that's over. He's the first pick. Let's move on. And it was really, really, really good. He is extremely accurate with the football. He has plenty of arm, can do all that. And you know what I think caught me by surprise? He played the offense, and he didn't just move to move. He moved when he had to, but when he just dropped back and had time, and the receivers even got a little bit open, just a little window, he delivered almost every throw. And his throwing on the run and everything else, you name it, he was really good at it. And I think I wasn't shocked, but I was more surprised, like, wow, this guy is real, and, the expectations are high for him. I have high expectations for him, too. And like I said, give him the opportunity, I think he will definitely come through.
We're talking with Phil Simms. He's going to be broadcasting Giants preseason games, which is fantastic. And we love being able to pick his brain about quarterbacks and everything going on in the NFL. Just staying with the rookies for a second, Phil, obviously high on Caleb. Are you high on any of the other first-round picks? So Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix. Do you like any of these other guys, or is it Caleb really the apple of your eye?
No. In Washington, I'm sure they're so excited about Jaden Daniels. I've watched him ever since he was at Arizona State. Herm Edwards is out there. I said, let me check him out. And the very first game I saw, I said, wow, he really is. I was impressed, but I go, holy Christ, he's so skinny. But he did fill out as time went on in college football. And look, he's an extremely accurate thrower of the football himself. He's got a little more arm strength than I think a lot of people think. And I think the biggest thing is his movement it's top level. And it's not Lamar Jackson, let's take off and all this stuff. He's just smooth. But look, in the SEC, when he started running against all these good football teams in Alabama, you name them, and he takes off and he outruns defensive backs who have the angle on him, whatever you want to say, and he just turns it on and runs. You know, when you watch him run with the big schedule they have and the good teams, and he breaks runs for 50, 60, and 70 yards, you got to know this is a special guy. And I really liked him too, a lot. I would have taken Caleb Williams if it was me first, but he was definitely in everybody's eyes the second pick of the draft.
Phil, I don't know if you saw Hard Knocks on the Bears last night, but we got another batch of rookies having to stand up and announce their signing bonus and sing a song. Right. What was Giants rookie hazing like for you?
Oh, it was awful. You know, it was awful. We did it in the lunchroom back then. It's not as choreographed and special like they do it now. Most of the teams, you know, at night they get them in front of the crowd and when the whole team and the whole organization's in there. But I had to stand up on my chair and sing a song, and I was so bad they made me get down halfway through, which was that was part of the plan. Just be so bad they just go sit down.
Yeah, that's smart.
What?
He said it's smart. You're lucky they weren't throwing things at you, or maybe they were.
Well, I sang Moorhead's fight song, and I didn't even know it. So I had to call somebody at the school the night before and get the words. And, you know, hell, we lost so much down at Moorhead State that, you know, we didn't hear the fight song again. But, yeah, that's what it was. But these rookies now, they're ready for it. Probably the best rookie show I've seen, and just watching Hard Knocks, was when Detroit did it. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson, he was hilarious. Yeah. I mean, the guys, man, they were ready big time. And I don't know who it was, but I think he was an offensive lineman. I did catch a little Hard Knocks late last night, and, you know, he tore his pants off and he's standing there for his underwear. I mean, come on. Hey, that's always going to be, it's so absurd. Of course, with the body he has, you know, that's going to make the players laugh. They love that.
Yeah, nothing like an offensive lineman in a Speedo that has a bald eagle right where you think it's going to be. Yep.
Yeah, it was great.
Phil, last one for you. We're talking with Phil Simms. And again, thanks so much for doing this. And we're excited to see you on those Giants preseason games. It's fantastic. I'm curious where you think the wind is blowing with the Dallas Cowboys and the whole Dak Prescott situation. From your vantage point, does this look like the final year for Prescott? With
you
Cowboys?
know, I got to tell you, I don't know how to get to this and say it without. I am so tired of hearing about this. I turn the TV on in the mornings because I work usually a lot in the mornings, and I listen to the TV, what everybody's saying. Oh my God! Can we just talk about the Cowboys a little more? But you know, the contract. Hey, look, next year when the off season starts, that's when it'll really heat up. They're not going to do anything before, and you know, I think the Cowboys are in a tough spot. I do with Jerry Jones. I think with Dak, of course, and CeeDee Lamb, and then Micah Parsons is definitely going to come up next year. So what are they going to do? And it's going to be interesting. I think, you know, really, Andrew and Maggie, I think it's all out there. In other words, I wouldn't be shocked if the season's over and, you know, they decide because of the money, and it's so hard to field the team they want because you can't pay every good player these exorbitant salaries. And they're going to have to do something that is good for the football team and going to be good for the players too. I mean, if they let Dak and they move on from Dak, Dak's going to get, you know, we all know that. None of this news is, you guys have said it all, I'm sure, but Dak's going to get a boatload of money regardless of how he plays this year. And he's going to play well. Dak Prescott last year, I try to watch all the games, and I thought it was the best year by far, physically throwing the football. And I watched little clips of him now out there in California at their training camp. Hey, he's staying trim. He's limber. His arm has never been as good as it is right now. His accuracy, his power. I mean, he kind of changed and really fixed his motion where it's big time. He just can't miss when they're open. Now, the bad thing for Dak, and it's true, these playoff games are real, and he hasn't played a good playoff game in a while. When he went to San Francisco, it was there to be had a couple years ago. It was there. and he didn't take advantage of it. He made some reads that were not what they should have been. And this past year, hey, their defense, of course, was horrible. But Dak threw gasoline on the fire with those interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were bad interceptions. So he's got to live with that. And it's amazing. And as I'm talking, it's all about one thing right now at the Cowboys, and I buy into all of it. It's about the playoffs. And wow. And look, I just go, man, the whole season, but it's amazing. Once that season's over, it's like we wipe everything clean, and now what are you going to do for us? And that's real. It was even real when I played. When I had bad playoff games, which I had a couple that I was talking about them last night. It got me angry. But that was it. That's all. The year meant nothing. It's the fact that you didn't play well in the playoff game. So that hasn't changed in the NFL. And before we go, I just want to say this about the Giants. Yes, I'm excited to do this. I can't wait. All that. I won't be nervous. I'm not worried about that. But I can't wait to see the Giants' new offensive line up down in Houston and play. And everybody, like last night, I was at a little function and they were all asking me about Daniel Jones. I said, wait, let's talk about the real thing first. Let's talk about their offensive line. Last year, it was one of the worst we've seen in the NFL in a long time. And everything backs it up. Right now, bringing in these veterans that they have done, who all have proven they're pretty good players. I'm not going to say they're great, but they're tough. They've done it. They know what's going on, and that's got to change the football team. To me, that's number one by far. And if they live up to what I think they can, then Daniel Jones is going to have a chance to have good games, good moments, and have receivers. I got to tell you, I'm pretty excited about the receiving core, what they're doing. Malik Neighbors, I'll just say this. Everything that you thought about him, it's real. That's it. I don't know. I walked by him. I went, damn, is he a wide receiver or a running back? I mean, he is a big dude. And he broke tackles all over the place and down at LSU, and I think he's going to be a big factor in the NFL this year. I think he's going to fit right in right away. So, to me, that is the big story for real. And, of course, Brian Burns and Thibodeau, and they got this guy in the middle. And, to both of you, I didn't study the Giants a lot during the season because at CBS we didn't talk about them very much. But Dexter Lawrence,
yep,
I always thought he was a good player, really good player. But when I really watched him, I went, oh, my God, he's not good. He's great. I mean, he's literally great. And he's manhandling men that are 6'5" and 340 like they're like his kids. I mean, he's an unbelievable force. So Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau, how he came on last year, if they turn out to be who we hope they are, then Dexter Lawrence is going to have a great year because you can't double team him every single play of games. And so give the Giant fans a little hope here. I think there's a lot of stuff to look forward to and hope it turns out the way we think it might.
Well, Phil, you got Andrew Bogusch just smiling ear to ear after you just broke that down. He's excited as a Giants fan, and we're always delighted when we get to talk with you and pick your brain. Thank you so much for making time with us today, and have fun tomorrow night. Giants preseason game, their first one against the Lions.
Yes, thank you, Andrew. Maggie, thank you so much. I'm looking at the weather report. Oh, please, don't
Well, don't look.
Don't do that, Phil.
Don't look.
You're inside anyway. You're fine.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks,
you. Phil.
Phil Simms, the Super Bowl MVP.
It's my favorite Giant.
And two-time champion. And said a lot there. Let's not forget, I just want to pause on Malik Neighbors for a second. There was a legitimate conversation that happened before the draft whether or not Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors was the real wide receiver prize. So you saw from Hard Knocks with the Giants in the offseason, yes, they were trying to trade up to get a quarterback, but when they circled in on Neighbors, it was universal across the board. They love this guy.
Yeah, I mean, and it seems like they should, right? Like, I mean, he seems to be the way you design a wide receiver, right? Physically and with the attitude. I already hate them saying he's got some dog in him, but like that position requires you to kind of be a jerk sometimes on the field, off the field, and he can fit that in the correct way.
So much to unpack there. 855-212-4227. We also have our Wednesday Great Debate, which you are welcome to weigh in on. Today's topic, who is sports' most lovable loser? Still have the Chicago White Sox losing 21 in a row. I went Archie Manning. Bogusch went with Ernie Banks. We've got so much more in store for you, including your thoughts on that, by the way, Loveable Losers, if you'd like to weigh in. And secondly, we got a little window into the psychology of one head coach. And this head coach has been a tough nut to crack, I think. And we learned a little more.
Yeah.
We learned a little more about this dude. And
the origin story, if you will.
We're going to bring it to you next. Maggie and Perloff. Andrew Bogusch is in for Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Bogish in for Andrew Perloff. If you missed any of our interview with Phil Simms, who was excellent, you can always catch us. The Maggie and Perloff podcast is available wherever you get your pods. The rewind function on the free Odyssey app is fantastic. And, of course, on our social channels. He was amazing, talking about Dak Prescott, talking about all the young quarterbacks, and he's really high on both Caleb and Jaden Daniels.
And the Giants' offensive line. You're worried about Brandon Aiyuk being held hostage somewhere. I'm worried that Phil is in the O-line room at Giants headquarters, and they won't let him out until he mentions again how good they might be.
Listen.
Like, oh, by the way, guys, Greg Van Roten, good. Handsome.
John Runyon.
Yeah.
So I thought this was a little interesting, and you guys can tell me if you feel the same way. Kyle Shanahan was doing a press conference yesterday, and obviously 90% of the questions were about Brandon Aiyuk and his potential trade, his contract extension. The other questions were about Christian McCaffrey and his calf, and all these things are very important to the right now. Very important to the right now. But in the midst of this, he kind of let us in a little bit to maybe what it was like to be young Kyle Shanahan growing up in the Shanahan house. It was brought to his attention that today is Dwight Clark Day, and a reporter asked him for his memories of Dwight Clark.
I didn't realize how good of a player he was at that time because I was too young, and I just thought he was one of the coolest guys in the world, just walking around like he was the man, like where everyone just respected him. I was like, why is that guy so special? And I remember my mom crushing me for not knowing what the catch was when I was in 6th grade. I didn't grow up here and didn't totally know I think I was 2 or 1.5 at the time, so she should have been softer on me, but she wasn't. And she made me feel stupid, and now I get why, because it's one of the best plays ever.
I'm sorry, what? Sir, this is a Wendy's. I mean, what? That was like, we talk about going on the therapist couch a lot around here. Maybe Kyle needs to unpack a few things, and what's going on with mom? You're crushing your kid because he didn't know what the catch was when he was in 6th grade. He was 2 years old when the catch happened. And he made him
and
feel
his mom,
stupid.
not his Hall of Fame dad. His mom dropped a hammer. And it wasn't like my mom made me feel stupid. Like, she made me feel bad. She probably could have gone easier, but she didn't.
She crushed me because I didn't know what the catch was.
Did she not feed him? I don't understand what she did to this poor boy.
I'm just wondering, it's like, I'm sorry, you've never heard of the Rumble in the Jungle, you dummy? Like, what are we doing? So he doesn't know every sports thing that happened, like either before he was born or after, like all the great moments.
This is how I felt yesterday when I didn't understand the Batista reference from that weatherman. You guys are like, what are you talking about? It makes total sense. Idiot.
I just can't imagine, like, one day my kid's like, what's wide right? And I'm like, you moron. Like,
Get in the basement with your
it's my
dad.
job to teach him this stuff. Well, maybe not that one. But, you know.
But it was almost like when Will Ferrell comes to from that great answer, and he's like, I think I passed out. Like that. Like,
in old school?
Yeah, in old school. Like,
that's
what,
how you debate.
Yeah. Like Kyle Shanahan, like, finished and goes, what just happened? Did that come out?
Yeah. Mommy. Mom crushed him because he didn't know the catch. EJ, you were like nodding your head in approval on this. You thought this is common behavior from moms?
I don't think it can be exclusive to moms or dads. I love this though. Like, yeah, like he grew up in a football house.
Don't have kids.
I think if this was a different. No, I think this,
like, you've never heard of the purple people eaters? What? Get your head out of your ass.
Oh, come on! Is dad coach for the Niners? I mean, like, I think that kind of history is one of the most iconic plays in football. I have no problem with his mom crushing him
when he
grew up in Denver, didn't he? For the most part, I feel like the formative years had to be in Denver.
I don't know. When he's 6 years old, he might have been in San Francisco at that time.
No, sixth grade. Sixth grade.
Oh, 6th grade.
Yeah.
I mean, still, but his dad is so is so ingratiated with like the Niners culture, having been an assistant coach there for so long. I think he should have known what the catch was.
Okay, so,
I do.
So my son,
sixth grade, I thought it was 6 years old. Sixth grade, oh, definitely.
My son is
Great
in
job,
fifth
Mr.
grade,
Shanahan.
so that's 1 year off.
Yeah.
So if I somehow mentioned the 2006, he actually might have seen the Wainwright curveball. But if let's say he didn't know that, I should be mad at him for that and make him feel bad.
Like if he was like, wait, the David Tyree helmet catch, which was that the first Super Bowl or the second Super Bowl?
Forget that one.
If you're gonna grow up a football fan, and Kyle has talked a lot about him being growing up a Niners fan, you gotta know the history.
At 11 years old?
He's sixth grade.
Sixth grade, you're 10, 11 years old. Yes, I was 3 years old when John Stark's shot got blocked, and then he shot 2 for 19 in the NBA Finals. But guess what? When I was in sixth grade, I knew that happened. Like it wasn't like my dad at that point had told me, hey, like this is the Knicks history that's brutal that you should know about. I wish there were better things he could have told me. He didn't tell me that, Will Reed walked out of the tunnel. Like it's one of the most iconic things in sports. There's some things that transcend age. I think the catch is one of them, especially if you worked for the Niner organization.
But here's the thing.
With his father.
So Kyle Shanahan told this story about how his mom crushed him when he was in middle school because he didn't know what the catch was. Right. And he said, gee, she probably could have been a little softer on me, but she really, really went after me for not knowing the catch. And I felt like a dummy. And here's my thing. Isn't it on the parents to tell the kids, like, they're not going to go back and watch every play. Maybe you get a YouTube compilation, but not when Kyle was in sixth grade. We didn't have YouTube back in 1994. Right. So I think it's on the parents. You've got to tell your child, if they're into sports and they want to be into this kind of thing, you've got to lead them down the path a little bit. Hey, here's what you got to know. Here are some of the big names you need to know. Go look this up in your free time. Not... get out of the car, you're walking home because you didn't know Dwight Clark.
Did they have weekly football quizzes after this? Was he academically ineligible for Pop Warner because he didn't know the answer to this question? Like, this would be crazy if like his dad didn't know Dwight Clark in that moment.
I'm sure he probably didn't even see his dad. He's an NFL head coach. They're barely home, I'm sure.
He's 11. It's not the team he roots for. It's okay that he didn't know that. And it's not. And like, it's the story starts harmlessly, but on the fourth sentence of how bad his mom made him feel, like that's some real stuff there that they need to unpack.
Yeah, it's like, wow, I need a 10-page book report on the steel curtain or else no sleepovers.
This is why he's dressing like a skater boy still, because his mom emotionally beat him down when he was 11.
Probably didn't even have a childhood, this poor guy. Anyway, now he's got McCaffrey's hurt. Ayuk's holding in. Not sure if they're going to trade him. Trent Williams is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, this is why his...
But guys, I have a question though, guys.
Yeah.
Aren't there some sporting events that by sixth grade, if you are a sports fan, and again, this guy is not just your regular, his dad was an NFL head coach.
Yeah.
Shouldn't everybody know? I feel like the catch at that point is like, remember, this is 1991 when he's in sixth grade.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 10 years. This is only 10 years ago. It wasn't like, oh, this was 50 years ago. This is Joe Namath throwing up the one in South Beach. Like, this was only 10 years ago. Aren't there some things that everybody should know if you're a sports fan, even in sixth grade?
You just actually, it's a great book idea. I'm sure it's probably been done, but we should do this before the show is over today. We still have plenty of time. We got lots of show left and lots of fun things to do. The top 10 things every sports fan should know by sixth grade. And we can make our list. Maybe we do a top 5, just a little back of the envelope. Everything, if you are a sports fan, everything you should know by 12 years old. Okay, Dexter is here. He has headlines for us this morning.
All right.
Everyone just got real quiet.
Real quiet. Real quiet. Headlines.
Jesse Owens.
So we have seen this over recent years where American sports leagues and teams will try to spice up the concession stands with interesting concession foods. Sometimes prior to a season, a team will unveil new foods at the arena or the ballpark. Well, the Arizona Cardinals, they unveiled some of the menu items at State Farm Stadium for the upcoming season on Tuesday. And the team made sure to highlight a new item that they thought the fans needed to try. It is cotton candy burrito. A cotton candy burrito, folks, consists of ice cream, candy, and Fruit Loops wrapped with cotton candy in burrito fashion. I personally do not think that anyone needed this, nor did anyone ask for this. But, guys, if you were at the State Farm Stadium, are you trying out the new cotton candy burrito?
I mean, how many gummies have I eaten before this? is that what's also snuck inside the burrito?
Nope.
That's not really my
You got to
thing.
do this over. Got to do this over.
I'm not trying it, but I'm buying it because Timmy wants it.
Kids would love this. My kid's so addicted to sugar. It's insane. He would rob a bank for a lollipop.
Are you buying this for your kid?
I don't want to. It'd be one of those moments as a parent where you're like, I really don't want to do this, but I probably would because, you're only a kid once.
You would, and think about it, the context. You're at a football game, so...
No rules.
Well, you also probably want to try to focus on actually watching the game and be invested in it, and your kid...
Except when your kid eats that, you won't be focused on anything but your kid running all over the place.
Do you realize if you give your kid that much sugar, they're going to probably streak onto the 50-yard line? This is an insane idea.
You can't be held culpable.
Yeah, he read the fine print on the back of the ticket. You're going to have to spend the rest of the game in Cardinals jail.
Right,
Not culpable.
Don't serve a cotton candy burrito then. That's not my fault.
Sue the team. How dare they?
Man.
Can we book your engineer husband? Because I have a question about how this actually works. Because how the structure of cotton candy does not necessarily allow itself to be like holding tight to ice cream, Fruit Loops, sprinkles, M&Ms.
Strong disagree. I don't even know if you need my husband's engineering degree on this one. And have you had cotton candy lately? If you ever get it wet, you know how it gets like kind of hardens a little bit. So I think the ice cream probably keeps it together. And I saw these women who are making it like rolling it up, and it seems it's malleable. Cotton candy.
That's cotton candy is fluffy and airy. Like when they make it like the weird clowns and carnival people make it in like when they're just spinning the cone in the big vat.
Clowns are not weird.
It does.
Great disagree.
Like it's not coming out going, you know what, that should make a burrito.
It does look absolutely disgusting.
It looks terrible.
Yeah, I always wonder, like, can we get into the boardroom, the test kitchen? Like, who is the stoner who came up with this idea? I always think this about the new items at Taco Bell when they offer them. I'm like, how high were you when you came up like, let's make the whole thing out of let's make a taco inside a taco.
Yeah, but they've gotten ridiculous there.
No, they're
Let's
smoking.
make a chicken sandwich with chicken as the bread.
They're smoking some grade A Kush at Taco Bell. Whatever they're smoking, keep rolling out the ideas.
It's working for them.
People keep eating it.
I know. They're like, here's our great combination. All of our food inventors are going to be high as a kite, and we're open till 4 a.m. $1 million idea.
But yeah, I agree with you, Maggie. The guy in the boardroom that just says at the Cardinals, cotton candy burrito. And we put ice cream in it. And then they all
like
went,
golf claps.
Yes, and they all golf clapped him or her, and they were like, yes.
Innovation. Promote that man or woman.
God, everybody's high. Cartoon, like kid show makers are high.
Yep.
Whoever thought of a steeplechase was high after watching that this week. I have an idea. Let's run and then jump over things. One time you land in water and then you resume again. You don't make that idea up when you're not stoned.
It's like, let's make it like nature, but we're gonna just put it in an arena.
Right. No thanks.
I mean, you had to be stoned for most of good songs. I think were probably written under the influence.
Oh yeah, probably.
A lot of good things happen when
Don't
you're
do
high.
drugs, kids. Dexter, we got time for one more little one.
All right, so one more. One of NASCAR's most iconic tracks will host a regular season MLB game next year, according to The Athletic. Bristol Motor Speedway will host a 2025 regular season game between the Braves and the Reds. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred and Speedway Motorsports CEO Marcus Smith, whose family has long owned and operated Bristol, are set to make an announcement at the track in Tennessee on Friday. So, guys, with all the recent special events games that we've seen, Field of Dreams, the historic Rickwood Field game in Birmingham, Little League World Series game in Williamsport, are you here for baseball at a NASCAR racetrack?
Sure.
Why not?
As long as they're serving cotton candy burritos, I'll be there. But
is there a race going on at the time? I'll take that.
A race going on while the baseball
That's
game's
inspired.
going on?
That's how you know NASCAR sucks, because now they're putting other sports inside the NASCAR tracks.
That is an opinion of Pat and only Pat. I do not want
agree.
I do not want the NASCAR community coming after us. The track and field community, fine. Obviously, I've upset them all very much by saying no, Lyles can't say he's the fastest man on the planet because he only won the race by 5/1000ths of a second. But I do not want that NASCAR crowd coming after
Hey,
the
in case you're tired of watching cars make one continuous left-hand turn over and over, let's put baseball inside now.
Pat Boyle said that. Pat Boyle.
Coming at NASCAR and race walking. There you
Okay,
go.
coming
This show
up.
is just anti-racing.
Yeah.
We just established
Yes,
that. Race walking,
anti-racing.
By the way,
running.
we won't tell you what happened in the break when I took on Pat and Bogish and race walking down the hallway.
Are you posting that?
Yeah, give me a second. Hosting a national show. Give me a sec. Gotta find the right music. Okay, coming back in just a few minutes, and we will have our top sports moment that every sports fan should know by the age of 12. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Bogish in for Andrew Perloff this week. Well, now I've really gone and done it, haven't I? I gave us like a mini homework assignment here in the break, and this is impossible to do. We're trying to figure out the top 10 sports moments every sports fan should know before they turn 12 years old. And the reason why we're doing this, can we actually just play the Shanahan quote again, Pete? This was Kyle Shanahan, if you missed it, yesterday, amidst all the questions about Brandon Aiyuk and whether or not he's going to be traded and Christian McCaffrey's tweaked calf and all of that. He was asked about today being Dwight Clark Day in San Francisco and if he had any memories of Dwight Clark, and here's what he said.
I didn't realize how good of a player he was at that time because I was too young, and I just thought he was one of the coolest guys in the world, just walking around like he was the man, like where everyone just respected him. I was like, why is that guy so special? And I remember my mom crushing me for not knowing what the catch was when I was in 6th grade. I didn't grow up here and didn't totally know from, I think I was 2 or 1.5 at the time, so she should have been softer on me, but she wasn't. And she made me feel stupid, and now I get why, because it's one of the best plays ever.
I can still hear the tears hitting the floor.
I feel bad for the guys. Got clearly stuff wrapped up, mom issues. But anyway, she crushed him for not knowing what the catch was when he was in 6th grade. So that's like 11 or 12 years old. So we started to say, well, what are the things every sports fan does need to know?
Because EJ said his mom was right. He said Mrs. Shanahan was correct in her response.
We love the fact that it wasn't even Mike Shanahan. Right. He couldn't be found. But Mrs. Shanahan, she was merciless. So this was extremely hard for me, guys. I almost had to separate it into sports. So if you go, here are the things you need to know by sport. Now, that's not what I said. I said top 10. I couldn't really do this. I'll give you some of mine, and I know I've got things wrong here. I think every sports fan by the time they're 12 needs to know about Ollie and Frazier, Ollie and Foreman, Hagler Hearns, and the career of Mike Tyson. I think every sports fan needs to know those things. I think for baseball, every sports fan by the time you're 12 needs to know about Babe Ruth, needs to know about the shot heard around the world, and needs to know about Kirk Gibson. And I'm definitely leaving stuff out here because you should probably know about the Jeter flip, and you should be aware generally of Mariano Rivera. Okay. In basketball, you need to know MJ's shot over Brian Russell. You need to know LeBron's block. And
Wilt's 100 game.
Wilt's 100 points. You're right about that. Okay. I think for the Olympics, every sports fan by the time they're 12 should know what Jesse Owens did and should know about John Carlos and Tommy Smith.
Dream team.
And the dream team. Thank you. I knew something
Not
was
the
off
redeem
there.
team. Can't trust us enough.
Okay.
Just the dream team.
Thank you. And I think for football, everyone should know. I mean, I think the catch is in there. I think everyone should know about Franco Harris. I think at this point you should know about the David Tyree helmet catch just because it kept the Patriots from the undefeated season. I think everyone should know that Colin Kaepernick took a knee.
Yeah.
By the time you're 12, we're talking about. These are the things you need to know. I'm missing stuff here. I'm talking about John Elway's comeback.
So the thing, and I said this in the break, I don't know the catch, Franco Harris, Tyree. I don't know how to power rank them individually, and I don't know that you need to know all of them. Like, I don't know that, like, I understand, like, the catch is the catch, but, like, is it required reading, so to speak, if you're telling the history of the NFL? That one probably is, right?
Yeah.
The Patriots, I think, are the lesson. In that lesson is they almost went undefeated until Tyree made this ridiculous
Right. It's like,
thing.
you need to know that Tom Brady had a weapon like Randy Moss. Why didn't they win? This is why.
Because you also, the list is top 10, so it's something like things have to be left out of this.
Yes.
So like some of these things are just not going to make the cut. You didn't mention what I have. Miracle on Ice has to be a thing for sure. Bands on the field, college football, Flutie's Hail Mary maybe because the call is so good. Like that's another part of it too. And Jackie Robinson. Like that's a thing that's got to be in there as well.
You're right. I mean, I think we're getting closer. EJ, what did we miss? What do we leave out here?
Okay, so I have a list and I ranked them. So hopefully this is good. So I put number 10. The 72 Dolphins are the only undefeated team in NFL history. / Pats were undefeated and lost in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Number 9, the Cubs World Series drought.
And
number
then
8.
Okay.
Yes, and then they won. Number 8, Bill Russell Celtics winning 11 rings. Number 7, Michael Jordan winning 6 championships. Number 6, Wilt Chamberlain scores 100. Number 5, Joe Namath's guarantee. Number 4, Michael Jordan shot to beat the Jazz. Number 3, Jackie Robinson breaks the color barrier. Number 2, the rise of Tom Brady. So the fact that he was like 6th-round pick winning because the guy got hurt.
His story, yep.
Right. And number 1, the curse of the Bambino.
Yeah.
I think everybody should know those 10 things.
I mean, it's pretty good.
Kobe Bryant scoring 81, by the way, was honorable mention.
Kobe 81. Pat and Pete?
I think to me it's dynasties across sports.
Yep.
And it's people. So it's for me in baseball it's Babe Ruth, in basketball it's Michael Jordan, in hockey it's Wayne Gretzky, and in football it's Brady and Montana and LT. And Jim Brown.
What about Mahomes?
Too soon.
Not there. Okay. Pat?
I got nothing to add.
You think we did a good job here as a group?
I can't think of anything where I'm like, oh, you guys missed that.
We'll think of something. I don't think we have enough college football in here. You mentioned band on the field.
Did you guys mention Tiger?
Tiger,
Serena, Federer, Djokovic, Nadal. Like there's like that.
We
like,
missed a few.
So like this is my point. Like that's why
Kyle Shanahan's mom should have taken it easy on him.
Yeah.
You can't know everything by the time you're 12 years old.
The Immaculate Reception.
Yeah, like that's like is that like how different
the band on the field?
Yeah.
Anything that has a nickname probably, but
look, I grew up in the house. My father very into sports, played baseball. I just go back to what I knew back then when I was 12, and it was a lot of that, a lot of just players, not so much moments. It was more players and major like dynasties /
right. The winners tell the story.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. Well, we have a book on our hands. This could be a book. Kids book. Everything you should know before you're 12.
This should be our next bracket.
Oh, like just great sports moments?
What's the greatest sports moment? And we put 16 from NFL, 16 from NBA.
Oh my God.
They had to not piss off Mrs. Shanahan bracket. Things you should know.
Miscellaneous.
We should have Kyle like
the catch.
Get him on.
Clearly the 85 Patriots.
Oh my gosh. You think people were upset about the seeding of our sitcom bracket because we had Family Guy as a 14 seed? What is going to happen with if we do greatest sports moments bracket? They'll disown us. Also, Noah Lyles winning the 100. You guys forgot to mention that one.
Let's make sure we have that in there.
Yeah, up to 2.7 million views on that opinion.
That's 400K in 4 hours. It was 2.3 the last time you mentioned it.
I think that's going to get back to him.
I can only hope. I mean, it got to Dion, so who's
how is Noah Lyles not next?
And Pat Boyle, apparently.
Pat also saw it. A little easier. Pat follows me. I follow him back. A little easier. Wow.
It's only Wednesday. Shouldn't it be Thursday?
I like that this week is going how it's going.
Okay.
We still have lots to do, and I feel like a lot of news. Preseason games are starting tomorrow. Oh, we never gave our big takeaway for Hard Knocks last night. Kind of hard to top the offensive lineman wearing the bald eagle Speedo.
We got some things. Eberflus is something. Coach Flus.
Coach Flus had a glow up.
Yeah.
Thank you to Pat Boyle. Thank you to Pete Pilati. Thank you to DJ Stewart. Thank you to Dexter Henry. Thank you to Andrew Kaplan, to the Weedos and the Coffee Drinkers. You guys are phenomenal. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow.
You're in a 5-minute break.